Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some band lab clips.
Now for me that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out kind of.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.
Well, hello? Oh, I can't hear you, Tone, because you're muted. Hashtag unmute the tone. We're about to talk some IT.
I was shushed.
You were shushed.
I said,
Yes, you
hello,
were.
my friend. It's good to see you again.
Hello.
And we got a special episode of Talking IT with Tone and Angie. I'm going to have to make a new
Right.
song.
But it has to include you getting shushed.
Oh, I get shushed all the time.
So, you want to fill them in with what we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about something we have talked about in the back for years now, and it's the first time we're actually covering it here, but it's a real important thing, especially given what I've seen in the past couple of days in the last week, changes that are going on with copyrights, how platforms are dealing with them, and it's finally come to BandLab because I've seen changes in BandLab in the last few days that I've never seen in the last 3 years. So we're going to get into some of that and see where this is developing. Let's bring this up. And what we're going to be covering is copyrights, the DMCA, which is a big reason for all of this copyright talk. And we're going to look into how to properly cover songs, and why artists might cover songs, what are good reasons, for covering music, and how to do it responsibly. Because I think it's something that doesn't get talked about enough.
Mhm.
So we've
Absolutely.
got we've got a couple of videos that are going to explain the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, because that's really where this all comes from. And I mean, this is an act that was put in 1998. Thank you, Bill Clinton. And it's a little controversial. There's two sides to it. In one regard, it is there to protect artists and their content and their rights. And on the flip side, a lot of the controversy comes from how it's handled, the approach, and it has taken 25 years for this to actually come into play. It was ignored for the first decade that it was out. No platform complied with it. But in the past few years, especially since 2019, you've seen the DMCA really start to be enforced. So I think it's important for all artists out there to start to understand what this really is. So we're going to look at a couple of videos coming from DMC Agent Service. And this is a cool channel for anybody who might have material out there. And if you've never heard of a DMC agent, what that is somebody you would hire if you were an artist and you needed to send cease and desists and monitor the internet for your content being used improperly. Just like you would get a lawyer, in this case, you would get a DMCA agent. So this channel really has a lot of information about this and how to deal with protecting your content. So we're going to also look at the pros and cons because I think it's good to see it from
Mhm.
both sides. And then we're going to shift into, you know, are covers viable with the internet and why you might do them, should you do them, how should you approach them. The next couple of videos are going to cover just that, like, a growth strategy for musicians and do cover songs really work. This is another great channel and all of these are new channels for me. Like,
Mhm.
I really found some freshies. And this one's going to be fun just because, there are times where a cover sometimes becomes more famous than the original. And I'm sure we can all think of songs that we grew up with that
Mhm.
we come to find out later, like, wow, they didn't write that song. Aerosmith, Come Together. When I first heard it, I thought it was Aerosmith.
Yeah, and it's funny, because doing a cover, we would kind of think of it as paying tribute because we enjoyed their song so much. We actually took that time to learn it, and practice it and grow and evolve. Those artists behind the guitars, behind the drums, behind those mics have taught us so much. So getting rid of, not getting rid of, but unable to do cover songs is definitely going to put a dent in a lot of growth with music.
And paying homage is the one of the
Yes,
main reasons why I like doing them. It's I do the ones that I think are great songs and written by great artists. I like to learn what a great song really is because I think it helps when you're ready to go write one.
absolutely.
So here's another channel that I'm going to be going through all the videos. It comes from a real musical lawyer, top music attorney, and she's going to really explain like how to legally do a cover in 2023. It's fresh information too.
Oh, that's awesome.
And if you do manage to get some copyright, you know, issues, Primal Video is going to show you how to hopefully remove some of your claims when you're dealing with YouTube. And Band Builder Academy, another cool channel that I came across, is going to help suggest ways to release for the music platforms. Is a little different than YouTube, and using DistroKid and some of those distribution services, they do have clauses in there for covers, and they help
Mhm.
you to get those mechanical licenses.
Absolutely.
And the next couple are actually like copyright horror stories, experiences that some have had with dealing with all of this and how it affects their channels. So Spectre Sound Studio, I've been looking for an excuse to pull one of his. God, I've been watching him for years, and what's interesting with this one is he's coming at it as a Canadian, and what he's going to be talking about is actually how Canada deals with copyrights. It's a little different than the United States and some of the other countries. Because one thing about the DMCA is it's meant to encapsulate the whole world and copyrights, but unfortunately, uh, a lot of countries aren't even into it. In order for something like that to even work, it's going to take a little cooperation. Otherwise, you're going to have some countries who are not even, they're just going to ignore copyright.
And I just want to put this out there: copyrights are there to protect the artist, not hurt the artist.
Yes.
However, when somebody does your track, if their cover of your song made more money than yours did, wouldn't you want to experience some royalties off of that?
Well,
And
you
not
should.
just you, but every single person that participated, each musician that partook in the making of. So, but like I said, it's there to protect, not hurt.
Yes. And as we look into the DMCA and we look at those pros and cons, you'll see that theme where it was designed to protect the artists. It, how it gets implemented is what's going to matter. My biggest concern with some of the things that I've seen this week is that some songs and some artists, if they take zero tolerance policy, and they don't allow anybody to ever play their stuff, the Jimmy Buffett approach, some songs and artists will eventually disappear into obscurity, because if nobody ever plays your songs and they can only hear it from the originals, over time those songs disappear.
Absolutely.
And Metal Mastermind, he's going to give us a little Facebook horror story, and how this affected his channel. And if we have time at the end, I really dug this channel, and it's about the truth. And in this case, it's going to be about the truth on how record labels work, which ties
Oh,
into all of this.
definitely. We've had a lot of these conversations over the last couple of years with copyrights and things of that sort. So I can't wait to learn more. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, we're going to go ahead and talk some IT. If you have questions during the show that you'd like to ask Tony or I, go ahead. We are on youtube.com/Talkin IT and Angified. We are also on twitch.tv, Talkin IT and Angified. We're on Facebook, Angified Knows, and right here with you guys on BandLab. So if you guys got any questions, please don't hesitate to go ahead and ask us. More
Oh,
than
and
happy to share.
I'd love to know opinions here, because they fall on both sides. You have some musicians who are like, I'm never doing a cover, simply because their attitude is, I write music. Why would I cover a song? And, that's a legit argument. Up until 2018, I refused to do covers. You had to really twist my arm.
What's really funny is I actually had a friend say to me, because I said about, the original songs. And I had a friend say to me, Ange, everybody starts out with a cover, whether it's our ABCs, our 1, 2, 3s, our Rockabye Baby, Patty Cake. We all started out with cover songs. So, like
Itsy
I
bitsy
said, it's
spider.
definitely going to hurt some things, but at the same time, it is out there to protect the artist and their work.
Yeah. So what actually led to me deciding to do this week? Back on the 29th, I got an email from YouTube, which once in a while you'll get copyright notices from YouTube, and that's not unusual. I haven't seen a ton of them. I have almost 2,000 covers over there, and you rarely see ones like this. I've only seen it 3 times, and 2 of those times came from the same band, the Eagles. So I got this on the 29th, and it's for an Eagles song that had been on my YouTube channel for over 2 years. This song was in my library going back to 2020, and I just got a message on the 29th this week about it. It was taken down, and as you can see, I got a actual copyright strike for something that had already been in my channel for years. So retroactively,
Yes.
they gave me a copyright strike. So that concerns me a little, because how are we supposed to know when we do put something up which songs are going to cause something like this? Because, like I said, almost 2,000 songs, and this is one of 2 from the Eagles that just flat out, you cannot do these songs. Even though if I go search YouTube right now, I will find those songs on people's channels. So
Yes.
it's a little confusing how they handle things at YouTube. But what
Mhm.
really got me this week was the next day after this one, I got 3 from BandLab all at once on the 30th. And that's unusual, because I've never seen a copyright infringement, which is how they're approaching it, on BandLab. This is something new. So if any of you out there experience any of this, then I'd love to know. I'd love to hear, you know, your experience and for what songs you might have had. In my case, these three that came out, it actually covers four songs. And the first one was for Tracy Chapman, Fast Car. And the email itself, standard email saying, you know, due to the DMCA, this song is not allowed to be played. Um, they give me some information on how to file a counter notice if I feel that I'm in the right. Now, I could file a counter notice and claim the covers I put up, they are reproduced on my keyboard. There's no commercial tracks ever used. It's not for profit. It's for educational purposes, for people to practice songs and not have to strip down a studio recording just so that they can practice their voice or play guitar. So that first one, Tracy Chapman, I said, okay, that one got taken down. And then the second email that I got was a little more concerning for me because it wasn't formatted like the other two. It came directly from one of the BandLab support, and it was a lot more intimidating. None of the DMCA explanation, and this is my first warning. If you look in the middle there, uh, I didn't like this approach, and I don't like that they feel that they have to warn us because we have no way to know which songs are going to fall under this. There's almost 1,800 of my songs on BandLab in my library. This one has been in there for 3 years. So again, retroactively, they come at me now saying that this song's not allowed and I'm getting a warning. And if I don't take a look at their community guidelines, which have clearly changed, that they could terminate my account. So I'm not worried about it. But at the same time, if more songs start, if they start going through my library and saying this song no good, this song no good, with as many as I have, I'm likely to get strikes for music that I made on my own instrument and for nonprofit. So that's concerning. And
And on YouTube, they only give the 3 strikes. So you got 3 strikes, they banish and vanquish your account.
yeah, your account's done. So the third one that came in was for Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know, and Whitesnake, Still of the Night. Wasn't surprised with Whitesnake. I've always known, just like the Eagles, some of the songwriters have kind of locked down the material because they weren't happy with the contracts that they got, and uh, they just want to shut down the song rather than let people even play them. So this one, like the first one from BandLab, standard explains that it's because of the DMCA, and these particular songs are now removed from my project list. And it's those four notices that I got this week that lead us into like what we're going to be looking at tonight and why we need to understand what we're dealing with, because tomorrow you could be getting a strike for something that was fine to post yesterday. And that's what happened with these particular ones. Every one of these have been in my library for over 2 years. They retroactively gave me the strikes this week. If any of you see this over the next couple of months, don't be surprised and let me know. I really would like to know the experiences people are going to have when they cover a song, because BandLab song. So our first video that we're going to start with is going to help to explain what we're really dealing with. What is the DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and why it is significant. I mean, there's no argument there. It was necessary going into the modern internet age.
And this show is highly educational, so you might want to go ahead and just grab a notepad and a pen or paper, just so you can jot down some notes while we're going through this, so you don't run into a copyright issue. Copyright issues actually can go ahead. You can get jail time for it, even if you edit the song, and the fines are pretty hefty. So
yeah, and if any of you
attention.
are still confused afterwards, or you want to do it more responsibly and you need help, reach out to us. We're going to be there to help to do this the right way, because that's what we're going to have to do.
Because
So-
even if you Google, can you get sued for using copywritten music, you'll find there that you can actually get up to 30,000 for each work infringed.
And there are sites that are being targeted simply for
Yes.
putting up the lyrics, not even the
Yes.
music, just the lyrics are being
Yes.
copywritten. So the times they are changing.
Absolutely.
This one comes from at DMCA Agent Service 2468. If you ever feel like you need an agent to represent your material that you've put out there, if you feel like somebody is infringing on your content, a DMCA agent is an important thing. And this website, this channel, is chock full of information on what to deal with there and when you might need a professional to actually go out there for you.
That's right.
So he's going to explain DMCA and why it's significant.
Take some notes.
I am.
Welcome to today's video. I'm Rick Chapo with DMCAAgentService.com. Today we're stepping back from the details of the DMCA and looking at it more from an overall perspective. Specifically, what is the DMCA? Why is it significant? The DMCA is a federal law in the United States that deals with copyright in the online environment. It's a unique law in that the motivation for it wasn't necessarily originating in the United States. Instead, in the mid-1990s, there was an international organization called the World Intellectual Property Organization. They still exist today. But in the mid-1990s, they were looking at this newfangled thing called the internet and trying to figure out how intellectual property laws, which include copyright, were going to apply. Now you have to keep in mind that copyright law has been around for hundreds of years, and a lot of the foundational court decisions and code for the law were written well before anybody even had an idea of something called the internet. And so if you look at those rules and regulations, they really weren't going to apply well online, and it was pretty easy to see that chaos was going to be the result. So WIPO and its members, of which the United States was one, tried to come up with guidelines to address that. In 1996, they published those guidelines, and the member states were supposed to incorporate them into law. And in fact, in the United States, in 1998, a bill was introduced to Congress known as the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And in October of 1998, President Clinton signed it into law. And so the DMCA was essentially what we might consider a foundational law of the internet. It is one of those laws that if it didn't exist, the internet would look significantly different. You would most likely not have the sharing environment that you have now, and websites that are built on user-generated content typically probably wouldn't exist. So we're talking YouTube, Facebook, sites of this sort, which we'll get into a bit more here. But the DMCA, so what actually is it? Most people think there's one focus of the DMCA, and that's to deal with situations where somebody copies content off of your site and republishes it somewhere else. And that is one focus, but there are actually three focuses. So the first one addresses something known as the circumvention of digital rights management systems. A digital rights management system is one where you have a closed digital environment, if you will. Let's use an example as a movie on DVD. So you go out and you buy a movie on the DVD, you bring it home. That DVD has a security system built into it that prevents you from copying the movie. Now, if you violate that security system, if you breach it so you can copy the movie, well, you're circumventing the DRM system, and that is illegal. And so obviously illegal carries important ramifications of jail time and things of that sort. Do you see movies ripped and reposted online? Yes, all the time. But that act nonetheless is still considered illegal under the first focus, the first element of the DMCA. So that's the first focus. The second focus is probably the reason that you're here and looking for DMCA information, and that is the safe harbor immunity provisions found in Section 512. So what these provisions say when they're boiled down is basically an internet platform or an internet-connected app cannot be held liable for copyright infringement claims based on content uploaded by users. And the important part of that is uploaded by users. So let's take an example. I create a new DMCA video for publication on YouTube, and for some reason I decide to upload a Rolling Stones song as the background music. When I upload that video to YouTube, I'm arguably committing copyright infringement because I'm using that song without permission or authorization. So in that situation, I can be held liable for copyright infringement, but can YouTube? And the answer is no, as long as they follow a particular compliance procedure, which isn't particularly difficult. But so long as they do that, then they are not going to be held liable because of the safe harbor provisions of the DMCA give them immunity. And so that's an incredibly important thing if you think it through. While it may seem less so right now, think about, in the early 1990s. Let's take Facebook. Facebook launches, I think it launched in the 2000s, but whenever it launched, imagine if there was no DMCA. And in the first year, it got hit with, 5,000 copyright infringement lawsuits. Would Facebook exist today? The answer is probably no. And it wouldn't even really deal so much with the merit of those lawsuits. It's just the simple cost of defending them. The attorney's fees involved defending them would have probably swamped the company and sent it into bankruptcy. And, would the disappearance of Facebook be a good thing? Well, we can certainly discuss that in another video. But you have to keep in mind that this would apply to all user-generated content websites, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And the internet itself would just look radically different than it does now. And it probably would be, frankly, pretty weak because it would pretty much be a place where you went to buy things, and that was about it. The exchange of information and ideas probably really wouldn't exist because websites, they just couldn't afford to do it because they would have to defend all these lawsuits. They probably wouldn't be able to get insurance, and it would just be kind of a nightmare. So the safe harbor provisions are critical, and they're hugely significant. And that's why the DMCA is law you really need to understand. Because whether people are taking your content or you're allowing users to post to your website or your app, you need to understand how the process works. The third focus of the DMCA is something technical that won't apply to most people, but basically it just made it clear that webcasting would be included in the compulsory licensing laws. And what that means essentially is before the internet, if you're driving around and you're listening to the radio and they play a song, there are copyright rules that apply to that, and certain royalty rates have to be paid, things of that sort. So the third focus of the DMCA just says that if that's done online instead of with a terrestrial radio station, those rates still apply. So a site like Pandora, when they play a song, they have to pay a royalty rate to the publisher of that music. So again, probably something you're not really going to deal with, but it is a part of the law. So why is the DMCA significant? Well, it pretty much sets the standard for how copyright issues are going to be dealt with online. And with this newfangled internet thing that came around in the 1990s, there are a lot of critics, and there are some justified criticisms of the DMCA. But up to this point, nobody's really come up with a better option or a better solution. Maybe they will, but it doesn't really seem likely at this point, and there doesn't seem to be much motivation in the federal government to make any changes to the DMCA. So it's probably going to be around for another 20 or 30 years, at which time, maybe there'll be some small changes, but it just doesn't seem like there's much of a move to do anything different with it. So there you go. So that's it for today's subject. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at dmcaagentservice.com. Just use the contact form and we'll be happy to answer them. And please consider subscribing to our channel, as we'll be publishing DMCA videos frequently. Thanks.
Wow.
So there you have it. The
Mhm.
DMCA in a nutshell.
That's right. So you guys make sure you check your emails like Super Maha to see if you've gotten any copyrights lately for any of your written work. Yeah, for any of the work that you have done covering any covers without permission.
You'll know them because in the subject line you will see DMCA in the
Well,
subject
if you're going to
line.
cover a song, you know it's cover.
Yeah, but not all
No.
covers, not all covers fall under like DMCA copyright strikes or infringements. We're
No, but
talking a handful of songs.
to stay clear of copyrights, the only right thing is to get permission from the artist.
Well, if you do a lot of songs, you got a lot of artists to contact in that case. And as we'll see going through, usage, why you're covering the song, how you're representing the song, whether you're making money, big part of it. Those are going to be the factors that either give you an argument or really give you the strike. And as he mentioned, it is controversial. There's a lot of sides to it. And the second video, nice short one that just covers the pros and cons, looking at this both from copyright holders and artists who just want to jam.
That's right.
So let's look at the pros and cons, and then we'll start looking at ways to cover it.
Well said.
I'm learning from Ange.
Whoa. Welcome to Talking.
Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm Rick Chapo with DMCAagentservice.com. So today we're looking at the DMCA pros and cons. We're just going to fly through this, but I know there are a lot of people who tend to look at the issue from either the pro or the con side, and it's important to make sure you balance things. So we're talking about Section 512C. This is the Safe Harbor Immunity section for online businesses. Basically what it says is a website or app cannot be held liable for copyright infringement for content uploaded by users. So if you have an account with Facebook and you upload something to Facebook, to your page that somebody claims is infringing on their copyright, Facebook cannot be held liable, but you can. Now Facebook and any site or app has to follow a particular compliance process, but as long as they do that, they have immunity. And the question then becomes, okay, well, is all this good or bad? So let's take a look. The pros. So the important thing to understand about the DMCA, as outraged as you may get or as much as you may support it, is that the internet would look very different without it, certainly in the United States. And the biggest issue would probably be UGC sites. UGC stands for user-generated content sites. So these are sites like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Snap, whatever the latest social media sites. It's any kind of site or app where users are uploading content to it. Now, if the DMCA did not exist, well, if any of those users uploaded something alleged to be infringing, the copyright owner would sue that user, and they would also sue that site or that app, whatever it was. And as you can imagine, you're suddenly looking at a lot of lawsuits. Let me give you an example. As I'm recording this, it's April 2019. Google reported that in March of 2019, it received 75 million DMCA takedown notices. So even if 10% of those are valid, we're talking about 7.5 million lawsuits. So Facebook I mean, they could probably handle it now because they have so much money. But if any company, any social media site, any user generated site was in its first couple years as a startup, they would just get annihilated. They would be in bankruptcy court, and it would be a disaster. So it would be very unlikely that we would have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any of these kinds of companies. It would just be impossible. And so that's obviously a huge benefit of having the DMCA. Secondary benefit is it creates an inexpensive process for dealing with infringement online. Okay, if we didn't have the DMCA and you're a copyright holder and you saw somebody infringing on your copyright, your remedy would be to send them a cease and desist letter. Okay, well, that's coming from an attorney, so that's going to cost you. And if they don't reply, if they don't comply with the cease and desist demand, then your only remedy is to sue them in court. And so how many lawsuits do you want to get involved in? And even if you love to pursue lawsuits, well, you're looking at filing, tons of them. Again, we go back to the Google example, 75 million complaints in 1 month. Now, a certain percentage of those are not going to be valid, but let's just say, you find your image has been swiped 20 times. Well, that's 20 different lawsuits you'd have to file, and that's not going to be fun. With the DMCA, we have the informal process, have the compliance process where you can serve a DMCA takedown notice on the host of the offending site or app, and that will usually remedy the situation. Is it perfect? No, and we'll cover that in cons, but it's much better than having to go file a lawsuit every time. See, the court system. If we didn't have the DMCA and we were filing millions of copyright infringement claims every month in federal court and even in the state courts, I mean, the court system would grind to a halt. It would just be chaos, and we would all end up paying huge amounts of money in taxes to build giant new courthouses, pay judges, pay bailiffs, the whole infrastructure process. As an attorney, I fear to think what that would look like. But it would be a nasty, nasty mess. So there are definite positives and pros to the DMCA. Are there cons? Oh, yes, there are. This law is definitely, has some issues. For copyright holders, perhaps the biggest con is the whack-a-mole situation. Let's say you create something and it's popular or it has value. One of the things that's often going to happen is people will swipe it, and then they'll republish it and perhaps try to sell it somewhere. So let's say you develop a course, somebody pays to get access to it, they copy it all, and then they put it back together in essence, and they go onto another site and they upload it and then try and sell it for less than what you're selling it for. And so let's say you see that and you go, okay, and you go to that site and you submit a DMCA takedown notice, and the site says, oh, okay, and they take down the offending course. Well, the problem is 2 days later, the course pops up on another site where they're trying to sell it, and so on and so on and so on. And that can be incredibly frustrating, as you can imagine, thus the whack-a-mole designation. But also, copyright holders abuse the DMCA all the time. This tends to be more with larger companies, and basically what they do is they use automated software, and it's keyed to certain keywords. And if those keywords are found, they just start submitting DMCA takedown notices. And it's not fair. It often will hit fair use situations. It will often, really limit free speech. We just saw this literally yesterday. Stars, the TV channel or TV production group, they started serving DMCA takedown notices a little aggressively. So somebody had written an article, apparently, I think it was critical of one of the Stars TV shows, American Gods, something like that. And that's fair use. That's criticism. That is a standard acceptable use of a copyrighted material. You can't win an infringement claim on that. Stars submitted the DMCA takedown notice regardless. And then another company or another group, the Electronic Foundation, EFF, wrote an article about Stars abusing the DMCA, and Stars served a DMCA takedown notice on that article as well. And so, as you can imagine, that spread through social media, and Stars was taking a beating. And it appears somebody at Stars, woke up and realized what was going on, and so they've subsequently apologized to their credit. But this happens a lot, and so it's abused by copyright holders as well. So how does all this play out? Is the system perfect? No, it's not. But I've yet to hear of any alternative that has any kind of balance to it that sounds any better. We just haven't seen anybody recommend an alternative to the DMCA that sounds like it would improve things. Now, could the DMCA be tweaked? Sure, of course. But again, once those tweaks start happening, you're never really sure what the actual outcome will be. While you may have a plan in mind, of course, the plans don't always come true and don't always produce the results you're expecting. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. If you're interested in these kinds of issues, watch the EU right now. They just issued a new copyright directive, and they're going to try to make these large UGC sites filter out copyright infringing material. So basically, they're doing the opposite of the DMCA. And I think it's just an awful move because not so much because it hurts Facebook and Google and those groups. They have the money to deal with it. But the EU is giving those companies basically a monopoly in Europe because it's going to be nigh impossible for a startup to break into those areas because they don't have the money. They don't have the money to develop the filtering system. They don't have the money to fight off all the lawsuits that are going to come. It's just going to be a mess. So keep a watch on that. You can do a Google alert for EU copyright directive and see how that plays out. But anyways, so that's it for the DMCA pros and cons. Feel free to publish any questions you have below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a good one.
I like this dude. I feel like I'm listening to Jake Zeke the way he talks. Does it work? Well, sorta. Can it be fixed? Maybe.
Yes. Well, now you know if you're finding out what's happening, what's going on. Whack-a-mole.
But he brought up a couple of good points, like what's going on with the EU.
Yes.
The EU has taken a different approach with the internet than pretty much the rest of the world. In some cases, they think they're setting standards, but they might be doing it a little too aggressively or the wrong way. Like he suggested, if they take the filtering approach rather than the takedown approach, the filtering approach, there won't even be a choice to battle. You will just never see anything that some AI decides might be a potential copyright problem. And fair use, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, like he said, 75 million claims in 2020, even if 10% that's still 7.5 million legit copyright claims. And that's still a whole bunch that are people reviewing a movie or a show and using clips to talk about the content. That's fair use, and we'll see more about fair use in some of the videos that are going to be coming up.
That's right.
And his point on the thing I found the most interesting, the takedown approach, he put up both as a pro and a con because it kind of works both ways. It's nice to have a takedown approach. It's not like you're just going to get instantly sued for doing something. You're going to get takedown notices that will eventually lead to that, depending on the situation.
And what's really funny is you'll find some of your original stuff even get tagged because it thinks the AI thinks it's hearing something else.
Yeah.
So if you do get a copyright infringement and you're like, this is my piece, go ahead and dispute it because you know that it is an AI that is just picking up on a word or two or maybe a couple notes. But that is not saying that if you use somebody's, lead that, that's not protected.
Yeah, and at some point you're going to need to get to a human. So like the first couple of responses you're going to get are definitely coming from machines at this point. And I think that's why we're seeing more aggressive. Why I got 4 in 2 days is because I think AI is starting to take over the job of these cease and desists. So that might be a con in the future if we depend on computers to just arbitrarily decide what's copyright out there. Humans haven't done a very good job of it, and I don't see the machine doing any better being programmed from those humans.
And I'm not really sure, Super Maha put on there, how can they detect songs that are subject to copyright claims, whether because of third-party reports or using BandLab's automatic content identification system. At this point, I know BandLab does have a section that you can read about it on their page. But ultimately, if you're doing a cover, you know it's a cover. So you take that risk.
Yeah, hope it's not a cover by
Right.
the handful who are very aggressively having them taken down. So if you happen to be a website owner or you produce content and you want to be DMCA compliant, look into a DMCA agent and check out this channel on YouTube, DMCA Agent Service 2468. A lot of information and might help steer you
Correct.
into the proper DMCA compliancy is something that's important to address in your content. It's interesting that like the part of the DMCA that protects the platforms, you know, YouTube and Facebook technically are shielded from copyright lawsuits because it's users uploading the content. So as long as they are compliant and send those users when they get a message from a DMCA agent,
Yes.
as long as they're doing their thing, they're not the ones sweating it. It's coming down to us to deal with our individual strikes. They'll just kick you off after 3.
That's right.
So definitely check out that resource to understand where you're going with your content. So now we're going to actually look into making content the proper way that's going to work for some of these platforms, you know, whether it's a streaming platform like Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, now BandLab, or, you know, some of the music distribution networks out there, Spotify's and SoundCloud's. They handle them differently. So some of the next videos that we're going to look at are how to approach doing cover songs so that you don't run into these problems on these platforms.
Exactamungo.
And, you know, Spotify.
Oh, I think Tony just blooped. Well, there he is. Let's check it out.
Yeah, it's at Andrew Southworth on YouTube. And use cover songs as a music marketing tool.
Talk about how you can use cover songs as a tool to promote your original music project. And this has been top of mind for me because for my alternative metal band Ever Waking Moment, we're thinking about doing cover songs next year to kind of take things to the next level. This year we did 100% original music and Facebook ads to promote everything, but cover songs have a bunch of really cool benefits that we're going to talk about. And the reason I learned about these benefits is I do a ton of consultation calls, like 10 to 15 a week for the past 2 years. And because of that, I've gotten to see a bunch of artists releasing cover songs, whether it's like Christmas songs coming up or just covering one of the songs they love by one of their favorite bands. There's a lot of really cool benefits. In particular, I've broken them down into 3 kind of unique core benefits that we're going to talk about now. And the first one is they kind of have a natural SEO. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. So this means if you cover a song and you throw it up on YouTube, people that are searching for that song or searching for covers of that song or reimaginings, a metal version of a certain song, then you're going to be coming up because they're already searching for that song. And also, if you're posting on social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, if you're hashtagging and typing in descriptions for your song correctly, then if people are searching for that song, you're going to come up as well. Also on Spotify, especially if you're early on and covering a new song, if people are typing in the name of that song, the name of your cover song is the name of that song. So obviously, if your song is you're covering "Baby" by Justin Bieber, there's going to be a billion babies that come up. But if it's a new song that kind of has a unique name, not going to be as many covers because it's new, but also the song has a unique name. So the second benefit is what I'm calling familiarity on social media. If you don't know by now, one of the biggest things in modern music marketing is posting on social media. It's just a great place where you can get new fans to check out your music entirely for free. And if you're trying to talk about your song, like people don't know your song, they've never heard of you before. So it's kind of hard to get their attention, to get them to actually listen to your song and see if they even like it at all, even though it's free. You have to construct a story, you have to do something interesting on camera, or have just a really amazing song or amazing video, right? If you're doing a cover song, it kind of lowers that barrier to entry because they're already interested because they like that song, or at least they know the song, and they want to hear what you're doing with the song. So you don't have to construct this elaborate thing. It's like the fact you're doing a cover song is interesting and content in itself. Whereas if you're doing your own song, you have to kind of put another spin on it. Now, the third thing that's kind of related to the last one is if you're running Facebook ads to promote the music on DSPs, which I do have a video playlist right here that you can check out on how to do that, or if you're trying to promote the music video for your cover song, which if you want to run YouTube ads, check out this video right here, you have a benefit if it's a cover song because you can target the original artist of that song, assuming they're available to target on the respective ad platforms. But even if they're not, you can target related artists or genres so that you know the people you're targeting will be aware of that song. So if you're covering Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, everyone knows that song, right? And so like if you can target Michael Jackson, or even if you don't, it's like everyone still knows the song because it's such a just gigantic success of a song. And if you're running an ad campaign on it, then again, the same benefits with the reason before, it's easier to get people's attention with a song they already know. The same applies to your advertisements on whatever platform that you're doing them on. Now, for my band Ever Waking Moment, next year we're going to be doing a couple different types of covers. We're going to be doing just some regular covers where you just throw them up on YouTube and maybe do some social media stuff. And that's super easy. I've done that a ton, even on this channel back in the day. You can search my channel for a bunch of old like metal vocal covers that I used to do and guitar covers. You'll see those. There are some issues with that. Sometimes companies abuse the fair use thing and they pull songs that shouldn't be done. But in general, it's very simple. Just upload it and don't worry about it. But we're also going to be trying to do some songs, if we can agree on what songs to do, that we actually upload to places like Spotify, Apple Music, and all the DSPs. And that gets a little more complicated because you have to make sure that you're paying the rights holders for the songs, whoever owns the song. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I have my DistroKid account open. And by the way, DistroKid is sponsoring this video on cover songs, so I'm going to be showing you how to do it in DistroKid, and they're the distributor I use anyways. I don't know how to do it in any other distributors. But yeah, they make it super easy. All you have to do, for the most part, is pretend you're uploading a regular song. So if I go in and choose Upload Music, you fill in your artist name, you choose all your profiles, you upload your artwork, choose your genres, give the song name, upload the song. But then down here, there's this songwriter section. I'll zoom in a little bit to make it easier to see. So you didn't write this song. Now, one thing I want to point out is if the song you're doing is in the public domain, like a Beethoven thing or whatever, or an really old Christmas song as well, that'll probably fall into this category, then you choose that you wrote it because you don't have to pay licensing on a public domain song. But if it's like, you're covering a Linkin Park song or a Justin Bieber song or Michael Jackson song, you want to choose another artist wrote it. It's a cover song. When you do this, you can see the rules of doing cover songs. And these aren't necessarily DistroKid's rules. They're just rules based on the law in the United States. And so you can't, for example, upload a song from a movie, video game, or TV show unless it's been released separately from the soundtrack for that movie, TV show, or video game. It essentially has to be a song that you can find on a streaming service or download service by like an artist, a regular song, not like something that's synced to another thing. Also, you can't use sounds from the original song. So that would be considered sampling or even remixing. So, a cover song is when you actually essentially go and re-record or reproduce the song. You're not using any assets from the original song. So that's important. And what DistroKid is doing is they're going to the Harry Fox agency, which, as far as I know, is the only mechanical license cover licensing company in the United States. and they're securing that license for you. And every time your song makes money, your cover song makes money, they are paying the songwriters whatever the legally mandated amount of money is. DistroKid charges $12 per year per song, per cover song. But essentially what that gets you is you not having to deal with any of it. So you don't have to go to Harry Fox. You don't have to make sure those licenses are good and worry about what the laws are. You just pay DistroKid $12 a year for that song, give them the information, you verify it doesn't have samples, and basically they say, it takes up to 14 days to get the license, and then you just don't have to worry about it. They pay the people, they pay for the license, and it's ongoing. And if you're not using DistroKid, I do have a 7% off coupon to get 7% off your first year. I've been using them since I started releasing music, and I've really loved the service. I still pay for it myself, even though they sponsored this video. I pay for my own DistroKid account, and I wouldn't do that if I didn't actually like the service. So, yeah. So, by the way, one interesting thing, DistroKid doesn't take any money from the money you generate from your cover song, but they have to pay the songwriters 9.1 cents per US sale. And from what I could tell streaming, it's like 10 to 14% is what they take. So if you make $100 on Spotify, then DistroKid is going to have to pay the original songwriters $12 or so. So you'll make $88 if from Spotify. So it's a little different for downloads versus streaming. Streaming is a lot more complicated, but that's how the money side of things works. Now, if you get your cover song out, because as you can see, it's pretty easy. If you want to know how to promote your cover song now, I have a playlist right here you can check to learn all about how to use Facebook ads to promote your music on streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. And if you prefer a more organized course that's video-based, gets updated regularly, has my country list, placement, targeting, and community where you can ask questions, I have that guy right here. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
And that was at Andrew Southworth over on YouTube, helping you get more fans. Spotify growth, digital ads, social media, release strategies, a lot of useful stuff there.
Yes. He brought up a lot of great information about originals, about doing covers. DistroKid, there was a lot of great information there to kind of, make sure that your stuff is not going to get stricken from usage.
Stricken. Ooh.
Stricken from usage.
That's a serious word. Yeah, I like seeing the DistroKid submission process, because I haven't used it myself, so it's nice to actually see how they're handling it. And
Yes.
it's what you've been saying all along. Those mechanical licenses, they deal with that for you. So when you are doing a cover that you actually want to put on a Spotify, they do a lot of the heavy lifting there, and you don't have to go contacting every artist in order to perform one of their songs and possibly put on an album that you sell.
That's right.
And he did mention, there's a difference between downloads, because downloads they can track much easier. So if you did make $100, they know what you made, they know what they have to pay for the mechanical license.
Mm-hmm.
And it's per usage in those cases.
Yes.
The streaming side, I'm sure, is going to be more complicated because it's hard to monitor when it's used in a stream. It's clearly going on. We've seen streams where you get muted. Jason's experiencing that on Twitch sometimes. So clearly they got an algorithm that's watching the streams and trying to compensate in that way. So that's coming.
Absolutely.
A lot of good information there.
Make sure to check that guy out.
At Andrew Southworth. So this one, I found this one because I was asking the same question she ended up giving the answer to, which is, do cover songs really work for artists? Should you even bother doing covers to make a name for yourself out there on the internet? Because there's a lot of debate there. And again, it goes back to the artists who are like, oh, I don't want to do covers because I write songs, versus exposure, getting people to your channel so they can hear your originals. And she's going to go into, why you might want to consider doing covers to develop your YouTube growth strategy.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait.
And this one comes from Catherine Forbes, at Catherine Forbes on YouTube. Oh, she's coming out of Nashville too. Love them country musicians. So
Hopefully, speaking of country musicians and down the East Coast, definitely sending lots of love for everyone that's been affected by that hurricane.
yeah. Fortunately, it moved fast and looks like it's on its way out. But stay safe.
Yes.
So, YouTube growth strategy for musicians.
Let's talk about growing your YouTube channel. Are you posting cover videos? Because, I mean, there is a lot of advice out there telling you to do that, but maybe you're not seeing the results that you had expected. In this video, I'm going to show you how to figure out what songs are going to be worth your time to cover versus figuring out how to spot the ones that aren't. Welcome to my channel. I'm Catherine Forbes, a Squarespace website designer for musicians, obsessed with helping others make an impact online through music. So if that's what you're trying to do, hit the subscribe button below, hit the bell, and let's dive in. 2020 has been a hard year for musicians, and really the music business as a whole. It's totally changed the way that we consume and share music. And because of that, I've been doing a lot of research to better help you pivot so that you can continue growing and sharing with your audience online. I'm going to share my screen with you and pull back the curtain on what it really means to share cover videos on YouTube and answer the question for you of, does it really help you grow your fan base? I've got a couple tabs pulled up here to give you some examples of why these cover song videos aren't necessarily working the way you thought or you expected. So first I have Taylor Swift pulled up here, and for her specific Cardigan song, the new song, at least new as the time I'm recording this. So you might think, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and record a cover of this new popular song, and I will get all the search results from that because people are searching for this song, which yes, makes sense, but let me show you why that might not necessarily work for you. When I type in Taylor Swift Cardigan cover, which is most likely what you are going to name that video, because as you can see, that's what everybody else is naming their video. You can see I've got a couple plugins installed here. One is called vidIQ and the other is TubeBuddy, which I will show you here and link to in the description if you want to download these as well. But it allows me to see just at a glance how many subscribers the channels of these videos have, and then we're also going to look into the keyword itself. So you can see here, if you are going to do a Taylor Swift Cardigan cover video, these are the results that you're going to be competing with. You can see the top one has 622,000 subscribers on her channel. So if you are thinking about this as a way to grow on YouTube, this is not the best strategy because you're putting yourself into competition with people who already have really established channels. The next one, 276,000 subscribers. Then we have the real Taylor Swift video. This girl, she broke through with this cover here. She's got only 1.67 thousand subscribers, which is still great, but compared to everybody else here in this pool, 81,000, 11.2 thousand subscribers. So you're putting yourself in this really tough competition and you might not even have known that. Now I want to go over to, I have Adele Rolling in the Deep cover pulled up as well. Again, same thing. You can see the people that are actually ranking for this have so many subscribers already. 172,000 subscribers, 357,000. This girl has 3 million subscribers, 16 million subscribers. So this time let's click into this search explorer to do the keyword explorer and really get a good look at what we're dealing with here. So you might see this overall score and it says there's a decent amount of competition, but this keyword is searched so often it's worth targeting. When I first downloaded this plugin, I went through and found all of the green keywords, the very good and the excellent keywords that I could, and I was like, this is my strategy. This is going to be it. But actually, the more I've gotten into it and now that I see results, I realize that just because it's green doesn't necessarily mean it's good for people who are just starting out on their channel or just starting out as your music career. So for me, my YouTube channel is currently sitting around 500 subscribers. So for me, this isn't necessarily going to be a good way for me to get seen, even though it says very good, and I'll show you why. So like this says, the search volume is high. It's high as it can get. The competition, though, it's rating it pretty low. That means it's going to be hard. It's got a lot of competition. Optimization strength is good, but this is where you really want to check out. So number of videos and search results, 10.3 million videos. So if you decide to do a Rolling in the Deep cover song, you're trying to take advantage of YouTube being a search platform, and you know people are searching for this song because it's popular. Well, there's already 10.3 million videos out there in this search result. So this is not going to help you get seen if you are new and just trying to get your channel going. Even though this says very good, it's going to be very hard for you to get recognized by YouTube in the algorithm because there are so many other people who are at a higher level with more authority on YouTube than you. Does that make sense? Okay, I have one more pulled up. But first, I want to hear what your most popular cover video here on YouTube has been so far. Leave me a link down below in the comments, and then after this video is over, go find 2 others in the comments, go to their videos, give them a like, leave them a comment. I mean, the least we can do here is help support each other, right? The Jolene Dolly Parton cover, just because when I thought of cover songs, this one came to mind because everyone seems to do it. So again, you can even see Miley Cyrus is ranking up here at the top. So if you would like to compete with Miley Cyrus, be my guest. But I hope this is kind of showing you now that doing cover songs works sometimes, but it's not going to work all the time. And if you are targeting these songs that are very popular by a very popular artist, it's going to be even harder. You can see here the searches it shows us on this one. I'm not really sure why sometimes it shows searches per month and sometimes it doesn't. This time it shows us 770 per month. So it's really, people aren't really searching for it. And we'll look into this keyword explorer, and it's giving it a fair score. You can see the number of videos and search results is 1.28 million. So again, if you do your Jolene video cover and you put it up on YouTube, you're going to be competing with over 1 million other people who have done the same thing. And to be ranked up at the top, you're going to be competing with these people who have a lot of subscribers. So if you would like to do covers, or if you are doing covers but you're not seeing results and you're wondering why, maybe this was an eye-opener for you, I hope. And I hope it will help you, give you a strategy for moving forward. So if you download this TubeBuddy tool, I'll give you the link here, and I'll also put it in the description so you can click on it. You can download this and just go to town on searching your video titles and see which one might be the best for you to do. I will tell you that the TubeBuddy, the free version, does have a limit on how many searches you can do per day, but I upgraded for $4.50 a month and I can just search all day, and I do search all day. Hopefully this is all making sense for you now. Cover videos have the potential of being really helpful for your growth here on YouTube, but only if you do your research beforehand. If you're feeling extra into analytics and SEO right now, I have a mini course to help guide you through exactly how to get the SEO ranking of your Squarespace website up. You can find it at designingtheroad.com/SEO. And when you sign up, you will get instant access to all the tutorial videos inside. If you haven't already, hit that like button down below to let me know if you would like to see more YouTube strategy, YouTube growth videos from me in the future, and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit all the things, and I will see you next time. For more music related YouTube advice, I will leave my last video right here for you.
Leave it there, sister.
And anybody thinking of covering Jolene, they do have a battle against you. Yes, yours is different and pretty much my favorite, next to Dolly.
It would definitely have to have some kooky type video to draw something in. But the sound alone within the first couple seconds is like, this isn't Jolene. So,
But yet it is.
but yet it is. Yes.
Now we got some bonus tips there. That was great because not only did we learn about the effect of covers and whether it is a good strategy to actually do something that's out brand new and popular, and whether you want to compete in that noise for viewers, because she made great points there about
Yes.
where you're going to show up in the search. But
Buddy.
those extensions, yeah, I had to go check the description here because I want all of these. Every one of those looks very useful for the kind of analytics that you want to be aware of if you're trying to grow your YouTube channel. And that's what that was all about, was YouTube growth strategies.
Correct.
And I think she gave a healthy balance of advice there when it comes to doing covers. She wasn't overly advocating it, and she was being realistic about its effect on the impact and whether it might or might not get you more viewers.
Right.
And considering they were talking about new covers, new songs that are being covered, which for an artist or a band that has just come out, if everybody's covering your song, that means you're a hot band.
That's right.
It's rare that a brand new band with brand new songs gets covered by other bands. They have to have some great material, and that's how they get bigger and bigger in those cases. But I've always been under the impression that when it comes to great covers that become the big hits, because you've seen that over music time, where sometimes the original came out at the wrong time, the world wasn't ready for that sound, and then later somebody covered it and all of a sudden it's a monster hit.
Right.
And our next video, he actually has a 3-part series on this. We're only going to look at the first one, but I encourage you, if you like what he's talking about here, check out the part 2 and part 3 as he goes through covers that outdid the originals.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of them out there. Some of them end up being a surprise because you just assume that this must be the writer of the song, the original artist, and sometimes that's not the case.
That's right. And some songs get covered, and not only do they blow up bigger than the original artist, but when people find out this was a cover, and then the original artist actually blows up again for a second time, it's almost like they've been rebirthed.
Yeah. In some cases, that original artist gets a second coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this one's going to be coming from @Alpha Media on YouTube. And he's going to talk about when the cover overshadows the original song. This is actually part 1 of, I think he's going to keep going because there's so many, but he's got 3 so far.
Let's check it.
Is the definitive version of this song? Is it the original by 9 Inch Nails? Or is it Johnny Cash's cover that cemented these words into the music history books forever?
I will make you hurt.
Let's dive into the classic debate of covers versus the originals. This is a wide-ranging topic going from lawsuits to deranged business practices to guys with acoustic guitars playing rap songs and sucking the life out of them. In this video, we will be discussing some of the best, worst, or just random interesting examples of one musician making a song and then somebody else making that same song, but different. I Will Always Love You is a country ballad written and originally recorded by Dolly Parton in 1973. This sentimental song was written as a farewell to her mentor and duet partner Porter Wagoner, and it tells the story of a relationship that has come to an end, even as the love remains. The song was a hit for Parton, reaching #1 on the country charts, but it wasn't until Whitney Houston's cover of the song in 1992 that it became a worldwide phenomenon. When The Voice gave this track a try, it was featured in her film The Bodyguard, and it became one of the best-selling singles of all time. It's widely regarded as one of the greatest vocal performances in music history. Musically, the differences between Parton's original and Houston's cover are stark. Dolly's version is a simple, acoustic, country-twanged walk through memory lane, with much of the focus placed on the lyrics and the storytelling behind them. Whitney's version, however, is a bombastic, soaring power ballad, with a grand orchestral arrangement and that all-time vocal performance taking center stage. Houston's version also features a key change, along with a memorable a cappella section, which adds to the drama and emotional impact of the song. While Parton's original version is a beautiful and heartfelt tribute to a loved one that more people should know about, Houston's cover takes the song to new heights, becoming an anthem of love and resilience that continues to resonate with audiences today. In a somewhat similar example, NME once described Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You as one of the best boo-hoo my blokes left me pop songs ever recorded. Originally written by Prince in 1985 for his side project The Family, this track came and went without much attention initially. It was basically thought of as filler on an album that didn't find much success anyway. Still, it's ridiculously high quality, methodical, soulful filler that caught the eye of this Irish singer-songwriter who recorded her take on it years later in 1990. O'Connor's cover, known for its intense vulnerability, would soon go #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The teary-eyed music video became an iconic image of 90s pop culture, and yet her cover becoming a hit helped convince Prince to start performing his version live on tour as time went on. It wasn't until 2018 that a posthumous single and music video of Prince performing Nothing Compares to You would finally be released to the public to universal acclaim. Both artists bring a sense of longing to the track in unique ways, and might I also suggest the heartbreaking rendition performed by Chris Cornell a couple years before his untimely passing. It's been so lonely without you here. Originally sung by blues legend Otis Redding, Nothing will make you realize the impact of Aretha Franklin's cover of Respect like listening to that original. Aretha and her sisters rewrote the lyrics, nixing all the times Otis contemptuously called his partner little girl, and even adding the iconic RESPECT breakdown that no doubt ran through your head the second the word was uttered. They took a song about chastising women for not being respectful, a euphemism in the original, and said, "You first." The most ironic aspect of Otis's version is its emphasis on money, of course making this relationship very transactional, yes, but it's worth noting that Otis complains of giving you all my money at a time where women were still facing barriers to open a bank account without her husband's permission.
What you want, honey, you got it. What you
P.S. This video does not have a sponsor, but I wanted to share that I've been streaming on Twitch, and it's been a lot of fun. Listening and talking about music, doing interviews with cool people, and playing a weekly game of music trivia. Twitch.tv/alphamedia. Come hang out sometime. Okay, bye. One cover that sort of represents a cultural shift for me is Childish Gambino doing Tamia's So Into You on Triple J's Like a version. In my non-expert opinion, the 2010s saw a huge wave of covers with the rise of social media, mass production of content, and musicians needing to further cement themselves in the public eye, whether on radio stations with large YouTube presences like Triple J or the BBC One Live Lounge, or even something as specific as singers doing vocal impressions on Jimmy Fallon. The cover has become somewhat of a tool for internet virality at large. Gambino's rendition of So Into You is, for me, the prime example of this. Donald Glover's music career was still somewhat defined as that corny, nerdy rapper that made camp and Freaks and Geeks, and he was not the virtuoso, smooth sex symbol and next-level genius that people think of him as today. Childish Gambino doing this rich, sultry throwback of Tamia's 1998 R&B classic was perfect in so many ways. His vocals are on point, the snapping adds an intimate touch, the woman on the keys is absolutely killing it, and by the time everything comes together at the end with the drums and bass, it's a delicious, inviting anthem that just feels good. There are currently 41 million views on this thing. Try and tell me this wasn't a pivotal moment in his career that helped beautifully transition him from, ooh, because the internet, he's got some good ideas, to, oh my god, Awaken My Love and Atlanta? This guy's a genius. I'm not saying that Childish Gambino covering an R&B song from the 90s for some Australian radio show was the catalyst that helped him become who he is today, but I'm not saying that either. Yes, nerds, we're gonna do All Along the Watchtower. This classic was written by Bob Dylan for his 1967 album, John Wesley Harding. Arguably the definitive version of the song. However, Jimi Hendrix's cover was released later that year for Electric Ladyland. Dylan's Watchtower is of course characterized by a sparse acoustic arrangement and the vocals only a mother could love, while Jimmy's is renowned for its electric guitar solos and psychedelic rock sound. Did I mention that Jimi Hendrix plays guitar on it, by the way? That's a pretty big plus. Both versions of the song had significant cultural impact. Dylan's was popular amongst the counterculture movements of the late 60s, with its lyrics about societal turmoil and political unrest, and Hendrix's version is more of just a banger, for lack of a better word. It's a legendary piece of the classic rock pantheon that will never be forgotten. Unsurprisingly, Bob Dylan was a fan of Jimmy's version and essentially started playing it in the style of Hendrix after his untimely death. He once said, "Strange how when I sing it, I always feel like it's a tribute to him in some kind of way."
There must be some way out of here.
I wasn't prepared for what I saw. It wasn't my song anymore. These are the words of Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor after hearing Johnny Cash's cover of his song Hurt. Hurt was written at a time where Trent was struggling with his newfound fame when he penned the anthem of suffering and regret, and Reznor's version is definitely representative of that, with the eerie, hollow, atmospheric sound and droning guitar strums. Reznor sounds like he's going to break at any moment and then unleashes all his emotion in the chorus. But there's simply no denying that there's just an extra emotional layer added when Johnny Cash sings this song. Rick Rubin approached the aging Man in Black after a show when a young Rubin convinced Cash, who was on the verge of retirement, to join his record label at the time, American Recordings. Rubin promised Cash he'd let him sing whatever he wanted, and the rest was history. Rick Rubin himself said it best. When you're 20 years old talking about regret, it's heartbreaking, but it's heartbreaking in a different way because you have your whole life to figure it out. When you're looking back at your life, at the end of your life with regret, it's brutal. It's brutal.
My empire of dirt.
Hurt ended up being Johnny Cash's biggest hit in 30 years, and though he departed this world soon after, he left us with an enduring legacy and an incomparable body of work. So in all these examples, whether the cover overshadows the original or not, it shows how music is just as much about the person making it and their own history. Stories are oftentimes made infinitely better by whoever might be telling them on a given day. We could make a bunch more videos going over this same topic, so comment down below if there's a certain example you'd like to hear us discuss. Thanks. Thank you for watching that video. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can support me on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/alphamedia or on Patreon. And thank you again. I'll see you soon.
Wow.
Oh, he covered a lot of the big dog covers there.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he started with, I think, one of the biggest ones, Dolly and Whitney, and
Absolutely.
the observation he made there of the stark differences between the way Whitney did it. You know, it goes to how you're always suggesting change up your cover, use the cover as a opportunity to show your strengths, like Whitney showed the singer she was to a gentle Dolly song.
Well, what she did was she took the lyrics and she put herself into, because that was made, you know, she did that with a movie for the soundtrack, but she had to put herself into that role. And so she had to become as intimate with that cover and those lyrics as she could possibly be to deliver them that way.
And
And
at that,
so I think, like, if you're going to do a cover of an original song, that's kind of the impact that you want to make.
yeah, at that time, she was proving herself as the diva singer. I mean, she was the beginning of the modern diva
Yes.
singers. She was proving it at that time, and she needed that kind of moment.
No pun intended.
Yeah. And you know, of all those songs, I knew they were all covers except for Respect. That one
Yeah,
was new.
Respect got me too.
I had no idea that that was actually done by Otis, and that goes to show you, Otis way before my time. Even Aretha technically was. I was born a little bit later, but you know, you still hear music from the last decade as you're growing up, but you don't necessarily hear 2, 3 decades before unless your parents are playing it.
What I found interesting about the Respect one is that it was originally Little Girl, and it was actually like putting down women, and the twist that Aretha put on it literally like made a stand to show respect to women. So I love that twist and where the original song came from, the origin of it in story, and how when she did it as a cover, she definitely made it her own and made it a pretty much a retort back to the original.
Yeah. Yeah, like Roxanne, and then Roxanne's Revenge in
Yeah.
the 80s. And you know, that goes to show that you can cover a song and evolve it to a whole new level. Bob Dylan started playing his song like Jimmy after Jimmy died. That blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey, when the original artist says, okay, the song's yours now, then you really covered it good.
Yes. Dolly is definitely she is just amazing.
Yeah.
And all of the teachings that she does, she's you have to say she is a sweetheart. She is like America's sweetheart.
And there's so many songs of hers that can be reinterpreted and grown from. Everybody should try covering a Dolly song sometime in their music life.
And even if it's a song like, um, you just can't get her because she's got such a beautiful twang. Really pay attention to the lyrics because the strategy in songwriting was much different, more it was more, I guess, personal. So pay attention to the song lyrics and twists that you will find through Dolly's song collections.
And you will find
Would
some Dolly.
you believe? Would you believe? Even though that song is not copywritten, Tony, I cannot upload that to TikTok because it says that it is copywritten, and it gives like four. I have no idea different songs thanks to AI. That it's saying that it resembles.
Oh, geez, if they start going into songs that resemble, we're in real trouble. It's one thing to recognize
Gotta dispute it.
every song resembles another song because it's impossible to actually write a new chord progression.
Hmm.
They have all been done and tried somewheres.
Yes,
All we can do is do them our way.
that's right.
What do you say? Be you, be heard, be original. Take
Wow.
those 7 notes and all those chords and find you in them.
Make it your playground.
Hey, we get to play.
No
So that was
throwing
at
sand.
that was at Alpha Media over on YouTube. Harrison likes to make videos, and he discusses indie music, hip hop, and I'm sure a lot more. Check out his other parts to that. Like he really hit the big ones on that first part, but I'm sure everybody can think of a cover or two that they've heard in their life that's the version to them. 9 Inch Nails Hurt was a great example. Some people didn't ever even know Cash's version. So now we're going to shift over to some of the legal side and approach and get some advice from some of the legal music advisors out there on YouTube, which I think is an awesome resource. We're constantly looking for musical tips and tricks, but this is the kind of stuff that a lot of times you end up really having to pay for just to understand. So check out these resources on YouTube. It might save you a lot of money. And this one comes from Top Music Attorney at Top Music Attorney on YouTube. Awesome great pick she got there. Miss Crystal. And she's live every Thursday too.
Nice.
Oh, now I know what I'm going to be doing before my show.
Heck yeah.
And she's an entertainment attorney, recording artist. Oh, she also is a musician, business instructor, podcaster. And looking at the videos, I almost put a couple of them up here. I could have run the rest of the episodes off of here because, I mean, everything we are always talking about.
Absolutely.
And she's constantly putting them out, so she's staying on top of like what's going on. I really want to see what she thinks over the next couple of weeks, given how fast everything's changing. So this is how to legally do cover songs in 2023. Coming straight from an attorney, this is relevant. Music Business Podcast.
sample, meaning it's actually a thing from the original song. It's a vocal, it's instrumental, it's the guitar loop. There's something in your version that is from that actual song that's called a sample. You can't do that and you might get a strike. How to legally do cover songs. I'm an independent artist, I'm a record label owner, I'm an entertainment attorney, and I help people to build their music businesses. If that sounds good to you, please be sure to like this video, subscribe, let's jump into it. Cover songs are fantastic ways to market yourself. Okay, think about it. The way that this is working is we are giving someone something they already like, and then we're giving them an opportunity to hear your voice, your style, your production, to get to know you. So it's a very nice kind of soft way to get in their ear and they'll be like, oh my gosh, her voice is great. Oh my gosh, his, scream is great. I love this. And then they'll dive in a little bit deeper. What can happen with original music is that now you have to sell them on you as well as the thing, right? The song, the composition, all the stuff. So that's why cover songs are a really good marketing tool, helps you to build an audience. And so it's something that I have incorporated into my music career. I do it a lot, and I know a lot of people do it as well. So that's why we are doing this video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about getting the music on YouTube and DSPs, which are the music platforms. Okay, DSP is digital service provider, like Spotify. So wherever you're watching this, the information basically in the video is practical. How do we do it? But some of the stuff I do mention is subject to US copyright law. You still want to know all the stuff because this is how it works, like regardless of where you're at. Okay. How it works for YouTube. You post the video to YouTube. Okay. And you might be someone who just did a quick song in your bedroom, or you just did an acapella. Whatever your version of the cover song is, you do a video, you post it. You're going to get an email from YouTube saying, hey, this label, this publishing company is monetizing your video. Okay? That's usually all it is. Usually they're not getting strikes anymore. And I'll explain why. But what that means is that the label or the publishing company is going to collect your money. Okay? So sad face. You're not going to make money on the video, but you're also using someone else's song, technically without permission, right? So if it's a cover, usually, like I said, there's no problem. They're collecting. That's it. Now, if you sampled, that's where this gets really hairy and everyone should run out of the building that's on fire. If it's a sample, meaning it's actually a thing from the original song, it's a vocal, it's instrumental, it's the guitar loop, there's something in your version that is from that actual song that's called a sample, you can't do that and you might get a strike. Okay? It's a real no-no. You might get a block, you might get all kinds of bad things happening. I talk about the differences of sampling on the channel. Do some searches, you'll find some good stuff. So that's getting it on YouTube. When it comes to getting it on music platforms, we're going to register an account with a DIY music distribution company. It's going to be the ones I talk about a lot on the channel are CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, and I've done, collabs and worked with a lot of these companies as an artist myself. Those are ones that are great. But in any case, the way it used to be, you get a mechanical license, right? So it's like an automatic license that allows us to do cover songs. We used to get them through Harry Fox Agency, through Easy Song licensing. And basically, if you went to a music distributor, often the music distributor would say, hey, you're doing a cover song. I need your mechanical license in order to distribute the song to all the music platforms. Things have changed. It's easier. Keep watching. So now what's happened is there's an organization called the Mechanical Licensing Collective since January of 2021. This company basically is like making it rain with administrative blanket licensing with all of the platforms like Spotify, right? All the DSPs. And so basically they have a deal where they're like, we're going to have the deal with you platform to make sure that the publishers, the songwriters who made the actual songs that you're covering, to make sure that they get paid. Because we're finding that people aren't getting the mechanical licenses and we need to make sure everyone gets paid. So, quick pro note, if you are a songwriter and people are using your songs, you got to make sure you're registered on the Mechanical Licensing Collective because that's how you get paid. But in any case, for the people making the cover songs, you don't need a mechanical license anymore. Yay. It just got a whole lot easier for us. The only exception is going to be if you're still making things like CDs or vinyls. Okay, it's not covered. You still got to get the license for that. For 99.9% of you, you're just releasing digitally. So it's already kind of done for you. Yay. Now, what about the video components, you ask? You didn't ask that, but you need to know this. So going back to the YouTube, you just upload it. It's a pretty easy process. No real problems are going to come up typically. But it's only because labels and publishers have deals with YouTube so that they collect your money. Because technically, what you're supposed to do is to not only get the mechanical license, but you have to get what's called a synchronization license. So it says you got to take the song and you got to sync it to the video, which means you now need to get extra permission. And since no one's actually doing that, and it's easier for these companies to come and just collect your money, right? Because you're promoting their songs, that's what they've done. But you are technically supposed to be getting the sync licenses. Now, because most of the world, to promote their cover songs, to promote their music, are uploading these videos to YouTube, the fact that those agreements are in place is a great thing. It's going to help you stay protected so you're not going to get sued because, quite frankly, a lot of these labels aren't going to sue you because it's going to cost the label $50,000 to sue you, and then they're not going to be able to collect because, we're starving artists and we can't pay, right? So if you want to learn how to basically do all this stuff yourself to be your own label, right? I have a course. I'll help you out. I'll teach you how to become your own label. Link down in the description below.
Oh, more great
Lot
info.
of, I was gonna say, she talked about different ways to get your cover stuff out, the licensing that you need.
Well,
To use both
synchronization.
audio and video.
Synchronization license. Have you heard of that yet? That's a new
I
one for
had
me.
not.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, like, I know that some people like will take some videos, but not like the whole thing. You know what I mean? But a lot of times that's like I knew there was a separate license for videos. I just didn't realize that artists were actually going ahead and taking like the original artist video and uploading it and claiming like.
Well, I've seen fan based videos of songs where somebody just wanted to do something creative visually to a song, and I wonder if that might fall under those situations.
Maybe a lot of fan based ones though they try and like, well, like TikTok will have like the stitch or duet, things of that sort. I just usually the fans are in it. You know what I mean? Or there's something like written in it that says I'm a fan, or this is a fan video.
Yeah. If you put a good description up, hopefully that's your first point of attack in preventing having to explain later what you're doing. The more you give a detail of what you're doing, what you're covering, who it's by, the less they actually will give you crap.
Right.
Yeah.
And to answer Jason's question, he asked, but does she like metal? I do.
And does she get up in the morning? Because it's now metal mornings.
Yes. Best way to wake up.
So Miss Crystal,
metal in your cup.
you can find her over at topmusicattorney.com and also at Top Music Attorney on YouTube. Again, this is a free legal advice resource that might save you a lot of money or pain in what you do out on these platforms.
And I'm going to have to look into Easy Song because that's one that I did not hear about. I don't know if you've ever heard Easy Song, but she had mentioned that in the video as well. Like it did. I guess it covers just like Harry Fox. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when they point us in good directions like that.
That's right.
So if any of you do get some of these copyright notices, and you wonder like, okay, how are you going to react to them? Because I know how I felt when I got those BandLab notifications. The second one, which was trying to be intimidating and copyright infringement and treating me like I had purposely done something wrong. Most of these people getting these notices aren't trying to do something on purpose. When it comes to my posts, I describe in my description who the artist is, what the song is, that I am remastering the song on which equipment, what key it's in, and I hashtag the artist so that way when people are searching, that's what they find. It's all done for nonprofit, for educational purposes, for people to practice, and it's right there in my description.
So read the descriptions, people.
Yes, and put a description, most importantly.
Yes.
So if you do get a notice like this and you're wondering how to deal with it and how to get them removed in some cases, especially if you feel like you're not actually infringing, in the case of YouTube, what she mentioned, the artists are the ones who get the advertising dollar on that video. So, hey, I'm cool with them making, if my video's actually getting played and it's because of that song, I'm cool with them getting the money there. And they're cool with you doing that in those cases.
Absolutely.
So this one comes from Primal Video, who I've actually checked out in the past. He's at Primal Video on YouTube.
I was gonna say it rang a bell.
Yeah. Well, he's all about growing your brand and scaling your revenue with video. So you know, I've had to check this channel out. And he's going to talk about how to remove copyright claims on YouTube videos, because that's where you're going to see him the most.
Remove copyright claims on YouTube. If you've got a YouTube copyright claim, your video could be demonetized, or any ad revenue from that video may need to be shared with the copyright owner. Your video could be blocked in some countries, or you could even end up with a strike against your channel. But don't worry, in this video I'm going to share exactly how to fix any infringing content, or how you can appeal the claim to get it removed quickly and easily. Make sure you stick around, because I'll also show you how you can check to see if other people are ripping off your videos and uploading them to their channel, and how you can issue a takedown request for those too. And if you've had a copyright claim or a copyright strike on your channel before, let me know down in the comments what happened and were you able to get it resolved. Now, in terms of copyright issues, there's really two things that can happen. One of them is a copyright claim, the other is a copyright strike. A claim is not really a big deal, but a strike is a big deal. If you actually get 3 strikes within a 90-day period, YouTube say that they would delete your channel, no questions asked. So you really don't want to be in breach of copyright across the board, as far as I'm concerned. So best case scenario, you really want to be using the stuff that you do have the rights for, the licenses for, so that you don't have any issues. Now, if you do find that after releasing a video, you do have some copyright issues, best case scenario would be to maybe remove that video, make adjustments in your editing and put it back out. But if it is something that's been up on your channel for quite a while, maybe you've got a lot of views and subscribers and things from a video that is working, then there are some ways that you can try to fix that copyright issue while the video is still live on YouTube. And that's what I'm going to take you through your options there. But YouTube itself is getting really good at detecting these copyright issues. It even will do it while you're uploading a video. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a video now that is using a copyrighted music track onto a test YouTube account of ours. So I'm going to pick a video here that does have copyright music. I'm just going to call it test video. Let's mark this one as not made for kids. We'll go next. We'll skip the video elements here and come across to the next one, which is checks. And straight away it says here, before we publish a video, we're going to check to see if there's any copyright issues on your content. And this is so you can fix any issues before the video actually goes live. Now it does say it's going to take around 10 minutes to perform this check, and that time is going to be determined by the length of your video. But we do have the ability to skip forward and keep preparing our video for upload while we're waiting. Now, after only a couple of minutes, this is what has shown up. And we can see we've got this red exclamation mark at the top, and it says copyright protected content found. People in some countries can't watch your video. So if we go ahead and hit see details, then this is going to let us know if this has effect on our channel or just on the visibility of the content. So we can see here that the channel is not affected, but there is a partial block on our content. And it says this video is going to be blocked in some territories due to 1 or more content ID claims below. and we can see the infringing copyright music track down the bottom here. And we can also see what this block or restriction is. So if we put our mouse over this section here, we can see that the copyright owner's UMG has set this music track to be blocked in Belarus, Russia. So as for the restriction or the punishment, it's really going to come down to a case-by-case basis. Now, if we hit the three little dots over the side here, then we can see what our options are. Now, there is an option here that is grayed out to trim out that segment. And this one is grayed out because the entire video is using that music track. So if we just trimmed out the section using the music, there's not really going to be any video left. So that's why that section is grayed out here for us. But we do have the option to replace that song, to mute the song, or we can dispute this copyright claim. So if you're uploading a video and you have purchased a license to use that music, or you do have rights to use it, then this is where you can dispute it. So let's just go up to replace song here. And you can see here now we get the option to add one of YouTube's music tracks to be played instead of our copyright music. Now that does replace all the audio in your video. So if you have someone speaking on camera like we do in this example here, then it's also going to take out the spoken piece too. So depending on your video, it really may not be a good option. So let's go up to discard changes. Let's go back down and let's go to mute song and see what comes up here. So in here we have two options. We have the ability to mute all sound when that song plays. So we don't have to replace it with another music track. We could just mute that section, which is what we're getting the option for here. Or the second option is a beta feature from YouTube where it's going to try to mute the song only. So it says here it's going to try and remove the claimed song only, keeping the rest of your sound. This option usually takes longer and might not work if the song is hard to remove. Now personally, I love the idea of this feature where it's going to try to remove the music track but still try to leave all the other audio in your video. But also in my experience, I haven't seen this work well once. But I would say it is worth a shot if you really don't have any other options here. So if we select mute song only and go to continue, and then it says here that this process might take a while. If we are able to mute the copyrighted song, that they'll update any viewing or monetization restrictions on your video once this process has complete. But the video will remain in its current copyright breach state until this process has completed. So you want to go ahead and hit mute from there. And then you're just shown that that video editing is in process. So those are your copyright removal options while you're uploading a video. Now in that example where we did try to process the audio removal and still keep the spoken piece, it just ended up muting the whole music track anyway, so the video would be useless. But again, I'm hoping that's something that YouTube builds and evolves over time because I think it would be a really cool feature, but I'm yet to see it work well. Now, the other place that you'll see copyright notifications on your channel is in your studio dashboard area. Usually they'll show up as a notification if you have any issues when you log in, or you can go over to your content area and you'll see either a yellow or red icon on any content that does have a copyright breach, or you can actually go up to the top and change the filter so you're only seeing videos that do have copyright issues or copyright claims. So we can see we've got this video here that is partially blocked because it contains copyrighted material. As a result, it's been blocked in some countries and or regions. Then on the left-hand side, you want to go down to copyright, and then you can see we've got that same screen again that we had when we were uploading, telling us the music track that was in breach, the times that that music track is detected in the video, the impact on the video, whether it's blocked, whether it's been demonetized, and we've got those three little dots on the right-hand side with our options on what we can do to try and fix it. So if we do want to dispute it, then we can hit this button here, and then we just need to follow the prompts and answer the questions here to submit that dispute. Now, I clearly don't own the rights to this song, but let's hit this bottom button down here so you can see. We then go continue, and then we'll need to pick if this is our original content, if we have license or permission to use it, if we're hoping this can be used under a fair use agreement, or if this is something that has been released in the public domain. For this one, I'm just going to hit license. And then we'll get to choose the type of dispute, whether it's just a regular dispute or if we want to escalate this to an appeal. So just a regular dispute will give the claimant 30 days to review your request and to release the claim. If they disagree with your request and reinstate the claim, then you'll still be able to appeal their decision. If we want to escalate it, it says this is a shorter process that allows you to appeal first without disputing the claim. The claimant then has 7 days to review, and if they disagree with your appeal, you may receive a copyright strike. So this is getting pretty serious at this point, so you definitely want to make sure that you do have the correct license and everything in place before you go down this route. Let's just go a regular dispute here, go continue. You would then need to again confirm that you do have the rights, that you do have ways to prove that you have rights to use this. Select the little checkbox down the bottom and hit continue. And then this is where you'll have to plead your case. So it says here, please include your license information below. Include any specifics that will help the claimant verify your permission to use this content and help them process your dispute. Once you're all done with that, hit submit and that will go off. Now after that comes back, if it's still not in your favor, and it should be, then you can dispute that again and escalate that further. But that is the process to dispute a copyright claim or a copyright strike on your channel. Again, all this information will be showing up on your dashboard in your notification area as well, and it's really going to be hard for you to miss. So really the best case scenario here when you are creating your content is to use the stuff that you have permission to use, that you have the correct licenses for. Now this is something that we don't want to mess with on our channel. We want to make sure that we are compliant with everything that we do. So this is why we're using services like Storyblocks and ArtGrid for B-roll and stock overlay footage. And for music, this is why we love Artlist and Epidemic Sound, because they make this whole licensing thing really, really simple. And even in terms of the actual content that you're using inside of your videos, even if you see other channels that seem to be getting away with it and using clips from movies or TV shows, know that it could be a risk for you and your channel, whether immediately or further down the track. And really that's not a game that we want to play. Now, if you've got copyright claims or strikes on your channel and you've tried to dispute it and you're still not having any luck, then you can actually connect with YouTube themselves. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. If this has been unlocked on your channel or you're part of the YouTube Partner Program, then you might have access to an icon in your studio dashboard area where you can directly chat with someone at YouTube. So you want to head to your studio dashboard area, and up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see next to the help button, there is a chat with creator support icon. And so this is actually even showing up on this dummy account here, which only has one video that is private and is in breach of copyright. And I'm still having access to this chat function up here too. So we just click on that and a little chat box is going to open up down the bottom and you're able to chat with someone there to help get your issue resolved. Now, if you're not seeing this, then you can hit the little help button next to that. Come down here to get help as a YouTube creator. And there are some methods in here to help get you connected with YouTube. But the one that I've been looking at and the one that I've seen people have great success with in connecting with YouTube fast is through Twitter. So if we scroll down here, we can see they've got Twitter at Team YouTube is the official Twitter account here for real-time updates and troubleshooting tips to help you get the most out of YouTube. And this is where you get direct access to their social support team. So if you don't have access to the chat, Twitter is where I would be heading. Now, if you want to check if anyone is in breach of your copyright and has maybe downloaded your YouTube videos and has uploaded them to their own channel, in part or in full, then this is where you check. So back on your studio dashboard area, we want to go over to copyright. Now, if this is the first time you're opening this up, you may need to enable this feature on your channel. But once that's done and YouTube has detected your content on another channel, it's going to show up here. So we can see here in this list, these are all videos of ours that are now showing up on other people's channels. So we can see how many views each of these videos has and how much of our video is found in theirs. So this top one here that has 5.1 thousand views, 20% of their video is made up of our video, which is this one, how to get monetized on YouTube faster. And there's other ones down here, like this one, 100%, 90% of their video is our video. So it can be pretty common for people to do this. Now you've then got to decide, is it worth worrying about? Does it matter that someone's done that? But if you do want to do something about it, then here are your options. If we put our mouse over the content match here, go across to the side, we can archive it, so ignore it. We can request video removal, that they're going to take down the video, or we can contact the channel. So if we go to request video removal here, then you just have to go ahead and fill in the form on the page here and then submit it once you're done. If we go back and we want to directly message the channel, we'll click on this one, and this will actually generate an email from YouTube itself that is sent to that channel owner. So you can read the text of the email here. It's pretty much saying that they're in breach of your video, has links to your video and their video, and you will need to provide your email address up here. So when they reply or so they can get in contact with you, that they have access to that. And then you just hit send and that will go off. Now at the top here, we can see our removal requests and the status of them. So we can see that all of these ones here from our side have been resolved. So the video has been removed. Some of them were already removed by the time that we had lodged the request for them to remove it. We can see our messages up here, and we can also view the ones that we had archived on this last one. Now there is one new change that YouTube is implementing right now in terms of copyright music and copyright claims across YouTube. And that is that it's making it easier for you to use commercial music in your videos without all of the restriction. Again, this is going to come down to the individual music track that you're using. It's going to come down to the artist. It's going to come down to the music label as to what you can and can't do and what you can and can't use in your videos. But YouTube is streamlining this process and working with them to try and make it more of a win for them and the content creator instead of it just being one or the other. So what they're implementing here is, instead of a copyright claim and maybe some restrictions placed on your video or demonetizing your content, ways that instead you can agree to a revenue split of your content and not have any restrictions on where the video can be seen. So in this case, a percentage of the ad revenue that you would receive because you've used commercial music, some of that will go to the music label or to the artist themselves. And it's YouTube that's helping manage that process on both sides. So this will make using commercial music in your videos easier and more streamlined, but you're still going to be sharing some of that YouTube AdSense revenue with the original artist or music label. That's not a bad thing, but there are other services out there like Licked that already make that process much, much easier without you being in breach or going through any of this copyright stuff as well. So I think it's cool that YouTube is bringing this in and it is making it easier, but there are other services out there that can already help you. So that's how you can remove or deal with copyright claims or issues on your videos. Now, if you do want to find out more about Licked to help you use copyright music in your videos and our top music sites, Epidemic Sound and Artlist, check out the video on screen. We show a breakdown of each because they are our top recommended music sites. I'll see you in there.
I want to get licked.
Right?
Never
Only
thought I
on
would
Talkin
say that in that context.
Well, now you done did.
I couldn't have missed that opportunity.
Oh my gosh, there was again another video that got some great information on how to fight YouTube copyrights. You know, the revenue splits, that was something new that YouTube's coming out with that we might have to look into in the future. You know,
But
connecting with YouTube, and the interesting is he said that Twitter was the best way to reach YouTube, which is really funny. You think YouTube would be the best way to reach YouTube, but
and now it's X.
yes, yes,
The artist formerly known as Twitter.
correct.
But those screens that he was showing on the dispute, and again, I love seeing these screens in action because I've never actually gone through a YouTube dispute. It was like, oh, gonna take it down, okay, not gonna argue. You must have recognized some of those screens because I know
I have, and I
you
do.
see a lot more.
I do. And I disputed as well. Especially if we have an artist that is doing an interview on the show, and they have their material copywritten. You know, one thing is that we ask permission to share. So, you know, the artist is sharing out their work, and so there's no reason there should be a copyright hit on that or that it should be muted and things of that sort. We want to be able to get that out there. However, if they are doing covers, we do have problems because if there's no mechanical license, then we have no say. So that's kind of things that we fell into in the past as well, where there's no way that I can dispute it. I've ran into situations where the copyright holder, the actual artists themselves, they will go ahead and, you know, even though Sony Orchard, which will just say it was them, I don't want to, you know, but one of the big groups like that decided that, no, I don't want this to be heard on this network. Well, then you go back to the artist because the artist says, hey, this is my work. If I want it shared, I want it shared. Go ahead and share it. I will take care of that and responsibility, because ultimately, if you have permission from the artist, what more do you need? So YouTube has definitely recognized that when it's come to disputes as well.
Yeah, like he mentions at the end, you know, YouTube is going through changes, and they're trying to facilitate the ability to utilize these songs in other people's videos. The one thing I'm noticing, it's a guessing game. You're not going to know until they tell you like that song has a problem, because just like not all countries are complying with the DMCA, not all of these content holders are coming at this the same way. A lot of them are like, you can play the song, you just can't monetize the video. The advertising dollars goes to the content
Right.
copyright holders.
And I've seen those videos where I have gotten the copyright that it says that it cannot be seen in like 365 countries.
Well, the territory thing.
Yes, yes.
You notice like certain countries don't like metal, like certain
Metal is a
kinds
big
of metal.
one. Certain, yes.
Asia and like the bottom half of that side of the world, they won't even let their citizens listen to metal, period, on YouTube.
Yes. And then the other thing that we have, especially doing live shows, and I know you streamers that are out there, you don't always know when a piece is copywritten, you know. There's so much music out there. It's hard sometimes, especially with some of the newer songs, to know, hey, this is a cover. And, you know, or if the artists that are sharing the piece is not a cover and is an original piece and they have it copywritten, if I go ahead and it's a submission, I'm going to dispute that. And I'm going to say, you submitted that in for play to be shared. It's making sure that you realize, yes, it is being shared. I did share it out and you gave me permission because it was a submission. So you can either accept it or I will take it down.
That's why you want to be real careful when you're grabbing beats and things.
Yes.
If you're grabbing them from YouTube, there's a good chance that it is copywritten by somebody and they will recognize it when you put your version back up on YouTube.
Yes.
So know where you're grabbing your tracks from if you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great advice coming from Primal Video at Primal Video on YouTube and primalvideo.com. A lot of these channels, I'm noticing they have sister websites to their YouTube where you get a lot more resource.
Well, that's a great thing because like us, you know, we teach and learn from each other and evolve. That's the only way to do it.
Evo love.
Even if we walk into brick walls at times.
Hey, that's how you know you're alive.
That's right.
So
Hurts a little bit more than a pinch.
Well, it hurts, don't it? You want one?
No, thank you.
So our next one comes from Band Builder Academy. And it's at Band Builder Academy on YouTube. And what I liked about this one is he's going to talk about Spotify a little bit. You know, we've been talking a lot about YouTube streaming methods for covers, and the music distribution sites are a little different in some cases. So this one's on how to release a cover song on Spotify and YouTube. He does mention YouTube because you can't ignore it, but to do it legally.
Let's make it legal.
Legalize it.
IT.
I wanted to make this video because I realized that so many of you haven't released a cover song simply because you're scared off by the licensing part of it. Imagine having to communicate with the original artist or their publisher. It sounds like a nightmare, right? It's not. In most cases, you don't need their permission to record a cover. It's compulsory. But you do need to do some licensing through a third party, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. I want to encourage you to get into the covers game. I've released over 200 cover songs totaling nearly 1 billion streams as a part of the Punk Goes Pop compilation series. Cover songs are still growing. Look at this on Google Trends over the past decade. Hey, I'm Todd. I was a longtime label manager for independent label Fearless Records and a former VP of sales at Sony Music. Most of my years in the music industry have been spent developing artists from the ground up. And I'm still doing that today, helping artists earn a living from their music. All the tips you'll find on my channel come from testing thousands of track releases and from my record label experience. Alright, mash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Here are the steps for releasing a cover song. Make sure the song you record is actually a cover song and not a parody, a medley, or a remix. Those are considered derivative works. Cover songs are compulsory, meaning you don't need the original artist's consent to record it. But if you want to put it on sale, you do need to purchase a compulsory mechanical license from a third party. Most of you are going to be recording compulsory cover songs. Very few of you will be doing derivative works where you change the lyrics and the fabric of the song. Get a compulsory mechanical license. Now, there are different mechanical licenses and rates for each music format. If you just want to get your cover song on the streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and you don't care to sell physical goods, then you just need to get a digital downloads mechanical license. But wait, digital downloads? Who cares about MP3s anymore? Even though streaming is the dominant format now, you still need to get a digital downloads license because that covers streaming and MP3s. And the cost of the mechanical license is based on the estimated MP3 track downloads. At least that's how it is right now in the summer of 2021. The laws could change soon. Since MP3 downloads are in sharp decline, I would just choose a low amount to get the licensing process started. The digital download mechanical license costs a minimum of between $12 and $20. This will cover you up to the first year or about 30 to 50 track downloads. And once you exceed that, you're required to purchase more or renew your license for additional estimated sales. If you want to put it on CD or vinyl, you have to purchase an additional mechanical license for that. Easy Song licensing costs about $19 a year for a small amount, like 25 to 40 digital downloads. You should check their website for the latest prices. Some distributors, like DistroKid, require that you buy the license directly from them. And even if you bought the license from, say, Easy Song Licensing or Songfile, DistroKid wouldn't accept it. So make sure to check with your distributor about their covers policy. Once you have your mechanical license, you need to set up your cover song with your digital distributor. And that's a similar process to how you set up your original music. Each distributor will explain how they want you to prove that you have a mechanical license. Like I said, some distributors want to control the licensing part because they might have liability in case you licensed incorrectly. So once you've got your mechanical license and you're set up with distribution, you're pretty much covered for there, at least on the audio. Spotify and Apple and the streaming services are responsible for paying the mechanical royalties to the various collection societies around the world. So that's pretty much it if you just want to put it on the streaming services. But what if you want to make a video and put it on YouTube? You have two options and a decision to make. Do you just want to put your video on YouTube for promotional purposes? Or do you want to earn money from your video? If you don't mind making zero money from your video, you can just upload it to YouTube and that'll create what's called a copyright claim on your channel. And that's not a strike, it's nothing scary. There's a big difference between a copyright claim and a strike. After the claim is reviewed by the original artist's publisher, your video will be live on YouTube. But the publisher is going to collect all of the revenue generated from the video. You won't be able to take any of that money. There is a chance that the publisher doesn't allow your video to remain on YouTube. It's rare, but they do reserve that right. But typically the publisher will leave your video up. They want to make money from it, and they also benefit from promotion of the original song. The process is pretty quick, from mere minutes to hours to a week. Technically, and it would be irresponsible of me to leave this out, technically you do need a sync license to put your cover video up on YouTube. But since it's happening thousands of times a day, and the publishers are still making money from the Content ID system on YouTube, the practice of putting up cover videos without a sync license is tolerated. Now, if you want to make money from your video on YouTube, you can use a licensing service like We Are the Hits or Easy Song Licensing. These services have direct relationships with all the major publishers. I have no affiliation or partnership with either of these companies. There's other ones out there too. I just like to use these two examples because they have slightly different options for you. We Are the Hits will charge you a percentage for all the money that your song generates, whereas Easy Song Licensing will quote you an upfront flat fee to acquire the sync license. You can check their websites for the latest pricing, But what I would tell you is if you think your video is going to get 200,000 streams or more on YouTube, it'd probably be a better deal to pay the upfront flat fee from Easy Song Licensing. If you don't think your video is going to get those 200,000 streams, probably the revenue share model with We Are the Hits is going to cost less for you. You're licensing the right to sync your cover song to motion picture. This is called a synchronization license. There's no set price for sync licensing. The publisher can charge any rate they want. So you need to enlist the help of one of these services I mentioned, and you need to get a custom sync license for YouTube. Not for everything, just for YouTube specifically. The price is case by case, so you need to inquire with Easy Song Licensing or We Are the Hits to get a quote. This is the only way you can monetize your cover song video on YouTube. Otherwise, the publisher is going to claim it in Content ID and monetize it for themselves, which is only fair. Now, aside from the custom sync licensing on YouTube, the process is pretty easy, right? Especially if you're just trying to get it on the streaming services and not monetize it on YouTube, just use it for promotional purposes. So those are the steps for licensing, but there are some other considerations, so check out these tips. Everything I've mentioned so far has been just about cover songs, not about remixes, so don't get confused. And don't use samples of the original recording in your cover song. That makes it a derivative work. A cover has to be 100% you. And if you put up an unlicensed remix or sample, you risk getting a copyright strike, and that's not a claim. A copyright strike is bad, and it's 3 strikes and you're off YouTube. This next tip is about covering songs in the public domain. If the song was written over 100 years ago, then you don't need to do any licensing. You can just record your version and you can put it through distribution much like you would your original music. Public domain means that the copyright laws have expired and they no longer protect the original rights owner after 100 years. If you think the song is in the public domain but not sure, check this database. A lot of old Christmas songs and holiday songs written over 100 years ago are in the public domain. If you're not sure, before you record it, check the database. And these songs are not in the public domain just because they're Christmas songs, it's because they're over 100 years old. Christmas covers are great to do. You only get 2 months of promotion a year, but you can revisit it every year. And there's lots of demand for them now that everybody has a Christmas playlist. Here's a tip. Don't put a bunch of tags on your YouTube video to optimize so that fans find your video in search. This is against YouTube policy. One question I get asked a lot is, can you make money doing cover songs? Yes, absolutely. Now, you can't make any money on the publishing songwriting side because you didn't write the original, but you can make money on the master side because you own the master recording 100%, and you can collect all that money through digital distribution. You can also collect master performance royalties through SoundExchange and neighboring rights through your CMO. But you can't collect the performance royalties that go to the PRO for the publisher and the songwriter. A lot of people don't realize that there's performance royalties on both the writer side and the master side. As I mentioned, I've released over 200 cover songs. So before you record your song and get started and release, make sure you watch this video on how to promote and market your cover songs. I really appreciate you checking out my channel. I hope I can help you on your way to making music your career. Take care.
Oh, I have to take notes on that one.
A lot of great information on there, but pretty much it comes down to the bottom line. CYA. Cover your R's.
Oh, I like that. CYA. I'm going to be using that.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the copyright, though. Every time I use it,
it's already out there. That's an old saying.
Well,
definitely check him out.
Fantastic information from him. He's at Band Builder Academy. And, you know, this is like next level music promotion. He's got a website over at bandbuilderacademy.com. And again, a resource that may save you a lot of money or help you to actually make some with the material that you're using. And it's possible to use covers in your music endeavors without it biting you in the ass.
That's right.
His tips with YouTube, what was it that he said there at the end? that overusing hashtags.
Yes.
That's the first time I've heard somebody on the YouTube side actually
say that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody's got this impression that hashtags is going to equal ability. I'd be surprised if YouTube didn't crack down on people overusing them, non-relevant ones. They don't want to overload their hashtag system.
That's right. And, just reaching out to the BandLab community here, that's something for you guys to remember too. Your hashtags don't make your track.
Yeah, the visibility, if the hashtag is relevant, if you are covering a song,
yes,
you
hashtag
should
cover.
Hashtag cover and hashtag the artist. Like,
yes,
that's giving the artist credit in that system.
Absolutely.
So very good advice coming from him. Now, we're going to go into a couple of horror stories, so to speak, where channels that have had to deal with this and how it affects their channels, dealing with managing your content and having YouTube come at you, or in the case of the next one, Facebook. For this one, Spectre Sound Studio, love this channel. We'll be watching it forever. And he's at Spectre Sound Studios on YouTube, and he's dealing with a problem that's kind of Canadian specific, but at the same time it's related. Canada has a different approach to how they manage this stuff. It's different than the EU, it's different than the United States, and it makes it complicated to do what they do here without having to work around the system sometimes.
Find out how it works.
Yeah, so he was worried that this could end his channel, and we're going to see what that is.
Could be the end of my YouTube channel. This could be the end for a lot of us. In Canada, we have this unelected governing body, the Canadian Radio and Television Commission, which decides what goes on the air. In the 1970s, they destroyed Canadian radio with one of the stupidest policies ever conceived. And now they've set their sights on the internet, and they want to destroy Canadian YouTube. The Online Streaming Act, after much public outcry and very little debate, was passed into law and just handed the CRTC a bunch of power that they don't need. Primarily the ability to legally require YouTube to promote Canadian content. Now, that sounds great on the surface, especially if you're a Canadian YouTuber. However, there's much more to it than just that. Things that most politicians haven't considered or thought through. I really wanted to go before the CRTC and address them in some kind of public meeting, much like Dee Snider addressed the PMRC back in the 80s. If you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend it, as there has never been a finer example of a group of politicians being completely outclassed by the person that they were targeting. Dee just didn't write a speech. He wrote an execution. He completely took the wind out of the sails in the PMRC in 5 minutes, and it was a glorious sight to behold. Dee, if you're watching this, please be aware. A lot of us who were teenagers back then took your words as inspiration and we ran with it. So thank you very much for being an example to follow. The big problem is I'm not sure if the CRT is going to have public hearings on this issue. And even if they did, I'm pretty sure they had far more important people to listen to rather than some loudmouth from Windsor who refuses to be politically correct. So instead of hoping I'll be heard by them, I'll plead my case to you, the viewer, because ultimately that's what's important to me. Here's one indisputable fact that the people running the CRTC either refuse to acknowledge or are just too dumb to realize. Nobody has ever had a hit video on YouTube by paying for it. A video that runs as an ad is doomed to fail. And this is exactly the strategy that the CRTC wants to employ. But rather than pay for an ad, they're given the power to mandate that YouTube plays Canadian videos in front of Canadians. In other words, ads without having to pay for them. Seriously, what moron came up with this idea? This is a strategy that will not win, and it's ultimately going to hurt Canadian YouTubers. The YouTube algorithm is designed to put videos in front of people that they actually want to fucking see! The CRTC's values are not aligned with what the Canadian public actually want. These men and women aren't consumers of YouTube, they're professional ass kissers. They got their jobs not because they have some intimate knowledge of how media works, they got their jobs because they know how to brown nose. What the CRTC wants to do is basically the Jared Threaten method of promotion. Anybody remember that guy? He's the guy who bought an online audience and made all of these promotional videos to put in front of promoters. And through some very clever tricks, he even managed to book himself a European tour. One problem. His online audience wasn't real and nobody came to the shows. The tour was canceled after about 3 gigs playing to empty rooms, and the entire debacle destroyed his career before it even had a chance to get started. And if YouTube is forced to put videos in front of the wrong viewers, they won't get the clicks, which will rank Canadian YouTubers lower across the entire globe. Remember that YouTube is available in other countries besides Canada, which means less recommendations on the homepage and suggested videos, and could ultimately destroy their channels, which is something the CRTC has a well-established track record of doing, destroying Canadian media. Let's look at the CRTC for what it really is. It's the world's stupidest kaiju. It's like Godzilla's dumber cousin that took the short bus to school and never had the brain power to graduate. And now that it's grown up, it's set loose and crushing everything underfoot because it can't see the Canadian creators it's trying to help because we're just too small for them to fucking notice.
The CRTC.
Did you know that once upon a time, the biggest radio station in the Midwestern United States was actually a Canadian station? AM 800, CKLW in Windsor, otherwise known as the Big 8, was the biggest, most influential rock station we had ever seen. Rosalie Tremblay, the music director, helped so many artists become discovered. She's the reason you've heard of Bob Seger and Alice Cooper. She got the Guess Who's These Eyes on the air first, and even convinced Elton John to release Benny and the Jets as a single, which became a smash. Bob Seger wrote the song Rosalie as a tribute to her, and Thin Lizzy even covered it. Then some dickhead in the Canadian government decided that Canadian artists weren't being played enough and created the CRTC and gave them the power to dictate that every Canadian radio station had to play 33% Canadian content. Next thing you know, every third song was Gordon fucking Lightfoot! I get it, he wrote some great folk songs, but for a lot of us, we don't want to sit around a campfire and sing about our feelings. We want to kick out the jams, motherfuckers! So Canadian radio died faster than Abandon All Ship's career. Now, if you just ask the question, who the fuck is that? Yeah, that's my point. And what's going on with the Big 8 these days? All news all the time, baby! Hey, great job, CRTC! Well done, you fucking morons! And here we are 50 years later with the new crop of political appointees doomed to repeat the past because they're just too stupid to learn how the system works. Because YouTube is not like traditional radio and television, which is one-way communication. YouTube is two-way, meaning anytime a Canadian clicks on a video, that is Canadian content, you stupid fucks! People all around the world click on videos by Canadian creators because they enjoy the content, not because it was forced onto the homepage by some political hack trying to justify his job. The CRT's own homepage states there are many other ways to make Canadian and Indigenous content easier to find, which could include promotional campaigns featuring content on the service's homepage. That doesn't sound like the free flow of information, that sounds like forced placement to me. And that could be a complete disaster for so many of us. Because there are so many great Canadian creators out there. Andrew Huang, Samurai Guitar, Nick Nocturnal, Cole Rowland, Steve Terryberry. And not just in the music space. If you're into travel, Downey Live makes these incredible train videos. Not Just Bikes has these amazing pieces on urban planning. And then there's Peter McKinnon. That guy is next level. I tell you, I wish I could make videos that's half as good as him. His videography is spectacular and he can really tell a great story. Me, I'm working on it, but I've got a long way to go. But if the CRTC continues down this misguided path, I think the one conversation we're all going to have is, hey, whatever happened to Peter McKinnon? And if that's the case for him, well, the rest of us are going to be completely fucked. It'll be like the death of CKLW all over again, but on a massive worldwide scale. So what's the solution here? Well, I'm not one to just sit around and bitch, so let me offer a different strategy to the CRTC, one where Canada can win on YouTube. And that's by giving us the resources to make better videos. The first step to that is education. Let's start by teaching audio-visual skills to Canadian kids in high school. It's not like the taxpayer is going to be on the hook for billions in AV gear. Most kids already have the most important thing they need, the smartphone. What you can do these days with a phone camera is mind-blowing. However, it's shocking just how little most kids know about video productions. Like how to hold a phone correctly for video, or basic lighting, or how to mic up a subject for a monologue. These subjects are not difficult to teach. What's more, we should be teaching basic editing and, most importantly, how to tell a story with a camera. I've got 3 years of multimedia from Sheridan College under my belt, and YouTube has been my full-time job since the end of 2018, and I still struggle to tell a story with a camera. Teaching kids how to do this at a younger age will be far more productive than yet another high school English course or the 8 billionth history class on Samuel Champlain. Seriously, did I really have to learn about him in 4 different years? Fuck's sakes, we get it already! Now, if I had been able to take a course in audiovisual when I was in high school, I might not have hated it so much and might have found some value in it. As it stands now, I look back at those days as a 5-year waste of time. Now, what's more, with this sort of class, we could use it as an opportunity to teach social media ethics. What's appropriate to put on social media, what's not, and most importantly, how to deal with a situation when something you don't want on social media becomes public. So many kids have had their lives destroyed like this, and we need to teach them how to deal with negative publicity. Because I, for one, am sick and tired of reading stories about kids committing suicide over this shit. Ultimately, if you equip the Canadian public with the knowledge on how to create better content, then we will get better content. And more people clicking on the videos because they see value in those videos. The only people opening the YouTube homepage saying, hey, let's see what Canadian content's on the platform today, are the people who work for the CRTC. For the rest of humanity, it's more like hit the YouTube page, let's see what looks cool. Oh, okay, let's check that out. Good videos get the clicks no matter what country they're made in or where they come from. We've got so many amazing Canadian YouTubers already on the platform, and there's room for so many more. So I say this from the bottom of my heart to everybody at the CRTC. Don't fuck this up for us. You claim one thing, but you've given us zero reason to trust you. Your past actions speak far louder than your empty words.
Fuck yeah.
I love his fucking energy, man.
Well, he could be a little aggressive. I always considered him like the angry metalhead on YouTube. You should see some of his mixing advice. He does the same thing, but he's passionate about his message, and he's spot on.
Absolutely.
At Spectre Sound Studios, long time subscriber over there.
I love it.
And how would you feel if when you're on YouTube and you're searching for artists like you do, if your government was kind of forcing YouTube to just spotlight and suggest to you only US artists, because you search the world for artists.
Well, that's what kind of happens though. Like anybody that's got an Android phone or Apple phone, you know, it kind of gets to know you almost because, you know, you could be thinking about something, the next thing you know, and I don't know if you've ever experienced, you probably didn't experience this because you're really not a phone guy, but people out there watching the stream, how many people have gone ahead and thought about something, and the next thing you know, you're seeing advertisements for whatever it was that you were thinking about. It's so freaking scary.
Well, yes, Google is reading your mind.
Spotify is one of those. Like if there is certain music that you listen to, they're going to shoot out to you suggestions based on what you listen to. YouTube, the same thing.
Well, it started with Pandora.
Facebook, you know.
It started with Pandora. They're utilizing that Pandora algorithm in their content suggestions, especially with music.
Yes.
But when it goes beyond just like, oh, you might like this because it sounds like that music, when it gets into, well, you might like these artists and ignore others based on location, unless you're searching specifically for location. I want to see artists from all over the world.
Me too. The universal language.
So I'm not convinced.
Sorry.
I'm not moving to Canada yet. So our last video, this one is a Facebook horror story. You know, a new channel for me, but Metal Mastermind. It's kind of an easy sell. I was like, okay, metalhead dealing with some of this. Let's see what he's got to say. And apparently, you know, he had to deal with this doing covers when it comes to Facebook. Facebook is a different beast than Twitch and YouTube right now. Like, they're kind of going their own way with how they deal with streaming and copyrighted material.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes.
You deal with. I'm not a Facebook guy, but you are.
Well, I get on there from time to time. We're actually streaming there right now live. I think Tony froze. The master of metal masterminds has taken over the Tonester. Unfortunately, I can't hit play, even though I would really like to right now. We'll have to give him a second and he'll be back. I hope you guys are all like taking all this in. This is highly educational. Like I told you, to wear your helmets, man. Put it on there. I know I have got notes. I mean, I have been taking notes this entire show. So I hope you've been doing that as well. And, you know, just kind of recap until Tony gets back. You know, CYA, make sure you go ahead and you cover your arse, as I'm going to say. You know, if you're doing covers, look at DistroKid. Look at the royalty rates of things. You want to go ahead, look at the Harry Fox Agency, BMI ASCAP. If you do original songs, it's great to register your stuff with them as well. Every time you perform it, you get, you know, royalties on that stuff. So, and register your music. Make sure you have that taken care of. If you've got those covers, you know, there were some great ones that were thrown out there. Licked, as Tony liked. The Easy Song, the Harry Fox, you know, those mechanical license, they can get expensive, but if you go through a distributor, it'll definitely cover you and save you a lot of time and effort.
Yes.
He's back. Told you.
And I did like licked. I can't say it 10 times fast, but I did like it. So that last one,
yes,
is coming from @MetalMastermind on YouTube, metalmastermind.com. Again, another site that's hooked up. And he's going to be talking
about. Do you
about,
like metal?
Yes, more than mornings.
Yay.
But Jason Jacobs is like Reese's peanut butter cupping metal in mornings.
That's awesome.
So posting cover songs on Facebook. This happened to him.
Yes, it did. And I get it. Sometimes I get tags on things from Facebook, especially on people with submissions.
Yeah, you must see a lot of that situation over there.
I do.
Restricted monetization. This means I can't partner with advertisers on Facebook. Of course, I can't tag them, kind of a duh moment, and it may impact other tools for monetization as well. This is not good. We've got something a little different for you today on Metal Mastermind, and before we get into the meat and potatoes, let me tell you who this video is for. This is for active and working musicians. Whether you do this full-time or maybe you do it part-time if you're out playing solo shows or playing with your band part-time, or maybe you're a solo artist and you just want to do something or already doing something more with your music than it being just a hobby. As an active musician, you already know that you must have more than one source of income. You don't want to rely just on touring, for example. You don't want to rely just on your streaming sales. Please don't rely on that because you'll be very disappointed. You want to create multiple opportunities, and there are plenty of opportunities out there. Maybe we'll talk about that on another video. Let me know in the comments if that's something you would like to discuss. But in this video, I want to cover something very important that can happen to anyone with any kind of social media account. You can get flagged and or demonetized and sometimes kicked off the platform. So let me explain real quick what happened here, and I'm going to tell you why I think this happened. I don't know the real reason, and that's kind of the scary part. I'll talk about that in a second. Now, this is my business page, my business Facebook page here. Real quick, if you do not have a business page, and apply this concept all across the board to every social media account, YouTube, everything that you have, you must have a business, quote unquote, business presence, or if you want to call it an artist presence. In other words, you don't want to use a personal profile for this stuff, okay? If you're a band, of course, you've got your band's business page, right? Or if you're a solo artist, or if you have a business, you're producing or mixing or something like that, you want to establish a business page, and specifically if you're using Facebook, don't use your personal profile for this stuff. Be out there online as a legitimate artist and or business. I got this message today, says restricted monetization. I'm like, oh, great. Fortunately for me, I don't really use Facebook for this purpose. I run a lot of Facebook ads. It can be very profitable if you run advertisements, if you're trying to get your album sold, if you have physical merch, that sort of thing. Or like us at Metal Mastermind, we also use Facebook to run advertisements for our courses as well. So this is a good platform to do that with. So of course, I clicked the little button there that says request a review. I get an email back from that saying, well, just a bunch of jargon that nothing was being done about it. So of course, I respond back via email saying, hey, it would help if I knew exactly which videos out there caused this to happen. I'm pretty sure I know what it was, and I listed that. I'm going to get to that in a second here. I listed that, but just please review again and please let me know. Well, I get an email back almost immediately saying this decision was final. There will be no more communication about this, and that's it. Case is closed. Now, if I were partnering with brands on Facebook and that was a big source of income for me, like I know it is for some musicians, well, I would have been screwed just now. Done. Nothing I can do about it, okay? Here's why I think that I got demonetized on Facebook, and I'll share the difference between Facebook and YouTube here. So I believe it was for some cover songs that I posted. Now, those who follow Jason Stallworth, which that's me on YouTube and these platforms here, you guys know that I play live acoustic shows. I play live solo shows. So I will record a lot of my performances. And of course, I'm playing mostly cover songs from the 80s and from the 70s. So I'll record those and repurpose those for social media to put out there to showcase what I'm doing. This is a good way for me to get other gigs and a good way for me to advertise to my local audience and potential people that might come to the shows. Hey, this is what you're gonna get. On that note, I'm more concerned about that piece than I am the other. However, remember, again, if I were using Facebook to work with brands, well, my income streams would have just been annihilated right there. So that's very dangerous. It's very scary. Now, YouTube handles this a little bit differently, okay? I do have some cover songs or some parts of those cover songs on YouTube as well, but YouTube will just demonetize that particular video, and then the monies that are received from the advertising for that video, Google Ads, that money will go to, that share rather, will go to that publisher and or that record label, and hopefully they give some to the actual band and artist, because hey, they worked hard for this stuff. And that I understand, you know, of course I'm okay with that. I'm covering someone else's song, so I don't get the revenue for that, but I get the content that I make for my audience, and that's helpful. Now, of course, you don't want to have every video to be cover songs, because then you'll never see any revenue that way, and you want to build some for yourself and or for your band. But Facebook here, I learned they don't do that. They just kill it altogether. Now, my page is still there. Again, I just have some restricted monetizing capabilities. One of those being I can't work with brands. And that kind of sucks, because there have been some times where, hey, I'd like to work with a brand. I have built my Facebook audience up to almost 40,000 followers here. And the thing is, I don't know for sure that the cover songs are what made this happen, because Facebook will not respond. They just shut me down completely, not answering your email back. Case closed, we are done with this issue. So I am just demonetized for, I don't know, I guess for life. Who knows? Now, this may or may not impact you. You may not want to put cover songs out there on Facebook or any platform, and that's totally fine. I know most of us in bands or as artists, even if you're a solo performer like myself, most of us are wanting to write our own music and showcase that, okay? However, if you're in a band that plays cover songs and or a solo performer that plays some cover songs here and there, actually that's the majority of what I do for my solo shows in the local area, well, you may want to showcase some of that. So here's my advice. If you are using Facebook to collaborate with other brands, I would just stay away from posting covers altogether if that's something that you want to do. And that's not a bad way to generate a source of revenue for yourself. I mean, that's a really good way to do that. Of course, you can do that on YouTube as well. If you grow the channel and grow your audience, brands will start reaching out to you. So Facebook, back to Facebook here. Again, my purpose really wasn't to monetize anything. I rely on YouTube for that. Even Metal Mastermind here, you know, we are starting to grow this channel some, and that's going to be part of our revenue stream as well. And I try really hard not to be biased. We at Metal Mastermind even, my partner Ken Candelas and I, we've talked about this. We really try not to get emotional over platforms, because again, they're constantly evolving, constantly changing, but we can all say that YouTube, hands down, is the best. It is our preferred platform. Before we started Metal Mastermind together, I've been on YouTube since 2010. Ken Candelas and I started the Metal Mastermind channel. I think it was back in 2020-ish, something like that. And it is a good way to get your brand out there, to get your music out there, and to also drive some more revenue opportunities. And again, that's something we can talk about in a later video. Now, another thing, if you're posting on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever, of course, post your own original music. You can do that all day long. Now, there is one caveat to that. You want to make sure that if you're going through a publisher, make sure that you get with that service and that your social media accounts are connected, okay? So that you don't go post one of your own songs and it gets flagged, right? It's like, hey, that's this artist, which is you or your band, that's their song. So just make sure all that's connected. Every service probably has a different way of doing that. Now, I know this content today was much different than what we normally give you, so drop us a comment below. Let us know if this was helpful, and let us know if you'd like us to make some more content in this arena here, because I think this is really important for everyone that's pursuing music, whether it be full-time, part-time, or just, you know, releasing that first single. You're putting music out there, and again, a lot of musicians will post covers from time to time. And I don't know if this has happened to other people. Maybe it's happened to you. If it has, please leave that in the comments as well. Before you go, make sure you check the link in the description of this video. That's going to take you to our courses page. We have, most of you know this already, but we have an array of online courses that are specific to rock and metal musicians just like us. So we're really happy to have you here on the channel. So please check that out. We've got some new courses coming down the pipeline as well. So guys, thank you once again for the support. Please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next video.
see you in the next video.
Oh, and I did give it a thumbs up, and I did subscribe.
Yeah.
And the channel, the website he's talking about, metalmastermind.com, you know, for you metalheads who might be looking for some crash courses on how to, check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much great information on all of these sites that you've shared with us tonight on Talkin SHHH I.T. I was telling everybody while you were blooping about all the notes I have. I've got over 3 pages now, and yeah, I kind of wrote big, but you know, there's a lot of great things that I'm going to be checking out, and I hope y'all check out these great podcasts themselves and shows, and give them a thumbs up just like Tony did. Subscribe.
2 thumbs up.
Yay.
Talking shit with Tone and Angie.
That's right. CYA, cover your arse. So you definitely learned that tonight. You learned about going ahead and getting your YouTube copyright claims kind of either disputed or change the song, you know, if it is something, which is really important for anybody that's out there streaming music. Also, you know, YouTube first. Take your time and edit it. Quality over quantity, people.
And there is a difference between platforms. Like in that last one, Facebook does not communicate the same way as YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear someone who's like, YouTube's got the best approach.
I honestly don't think any of them.
But
I don't think any of them work the same as YouTube. YouTube has made it so nice with being able to upload prior to check copyrights and to actually give you, like, I know when we've been streaming sometimes, and if there is a copyright, it'll tell us, you know, that they've blacked out our video for a few moments, and it'll come back on after it's over.
Yeah, and some of those plugins we saw from that one video might
Yes.
help you to actually know before you even send it to YouTube. Gonna be checking those out.
Look into getting licked. LICKD. You know.
Well, how many licks does it take?
Well, you can get a whole bunch of lickings, or you can just go check out Licked and just get it in one serving. Connecting with YouTube on Twitter, we learned that. We learned about how to actually get your covers taken care of through DistroKid or Easy Song. Looking at those mechanical licenses that can either cost you $12.99 a month, or depending on how many covers you do.
Well, like some of them mentioned, costs may vary.
If you only do 1 or 2,
yeah,
and how many you have. If you only do 1 or 2, it might be, easier to just go through like Harry Fox or Easy Song, If you do a whole bunch, then maybe DistroKid's your way to go.
I've done 1 or 2,000.
I know.
It's a big job.
But we've watched actually over the whole past of 2022 and 2023 copyrights, and how YouTube has changed its structure, where, Tony, we've had a video that was up for over a year as well. And then the next thing you know, we got a copyright strike, and it was like, what? And before we could even review it, it was gone.
Yeah, well,
it wouldn't even let us review it. It just automatically took it down, gone, totally deleted. So it didn't even give you a chance to dispute it at that point.
Yeah, they weren't handling things well during that time.
No.
A lot of YouTubers were complaining. I think the changes we've seen, especially in the last couple of months, are the answer to a different approach.
Yes. And BandLab community, you guys watching over there, just remember that as far as that goes with mechanical licenses. It's okay to cover a song, but get those mechanical licenses. Make sure that you have it if I ask for it, so that way we can dispute it and saying, yes, you gave us permission to share. We're not taking anything for it. We're just sharing the love.
Yep.
You can be seen on Twitch. Yes, twitch.tv.
It's one of them.
YouTube, Facebook, FanLab, and we're going to continue to grow out here and evolve in 2023. But I hope you guys grow and evolve with us. For those out there that, are on Twitch that are doing streams, I know they have also seen issues and different things come up with copyright. So I'm expecting to see more things in the future on Twitch change with copyrights as well.
Yeah, we got Detective Jacobs on the job there.
That's right. Make sure to check out Metals in the Morning. Take it to the head. Great. Best way to wake up, right?
Oh, he's going to redefine
Yes.
Folgers for me.
That's right. And, so if you go ahead and if you're unsure if there is a cover, say you're doing a collaboration with somebody, it's very easy to get fooled. Upload it to YouTube first and make sure that it is something legit before you jump in head first, and really put it out there.
Test your tracks before you go putting hours of work into it.
Yes. Go to TubeBuddy. That was another great link that was mentioned earlier.
Yep.
TubeBuddy, and check it out. See, is this a cover even worth doing? Maybe sometimes, and I know for me, sometimes covers are personal. There's a reason why I do it, if it's the message, the story, or it's just a lot of fucking fun.
I've had hundreds of forks that artists did. They never put it out publicly. They just wanted to do the song. They wanted to get my opinion, and that was more than enough.
Yes. So I hope you guys wore your helmets and didn't lick too many windows.
Well, 3 licks. I think after that, it gets weird.
3's the rule.
You might be a dog if you lick 4 times.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, if anybody on BandLab gets these copyright infringements that I just got this week, send me a message. Let me know what song it was and what artist, because I'm really curious to see which songs are not going to be cool to cover, because I'm redoing my library and putting the stems out, and if I find out like this song was a no-no, then I'm not going to put that song out knowingly either. I don't need more strikes.
Well, Tony, I think you need to go ahead and you need to look into either that DistroKid or that Easy Song.
Well, see, all of mine are MIDI, and MIDI under open source rules is fair use as long as it's not for profit. So MIDI does not contain sound. The sound comes from my keyboard.
I completely get
MIDI
that, Tone.
MIDI is sheet music with the notes.
However, with doing that, it would give you permission to share that sheet music and that out there for karaoke therapy.
Well, yes.
So that's just something to think about as covering your R's.
If I ever want to charge for the library and say, here's special access or any of that stuff, I would need to take that into consideration.
Or in the future, it actually might make it impossible, depending on where these copyrights go. So keep your eyes open, folks.
We'll be watching. And
keep creating.
Keep tuning in to us watching, and we'll be watching for you.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thanks, Ange.
You're welcome, Tone. Thanks, Tone. Thanks, everyone out there on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, and on FanLab. I hope you guys all have a great evening. And keep talking SHHH I.T.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Where's my
now
video?
You done did it.
There it is.
ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some BandLab clips.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.